But more than that, sports is about challenging yourself and other people.
It couldn't be closer.
Yes, baby.
It's about standing shoulder to shoulder. We're here to change the playbook. We're here to change the way you think about racing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lake Como GP, presented by Villa d'Este for Round 5 of the UIM E1 World Championship. This glorious Italian natural wonder will be the battleground for E1's 9 teams who are vying to become champions of the water as we prepare for the next chapter of this all-electric powerboat series. So, Saunders, let's take a look at how the teams performed yesterday in the all-important qualifying.
A very exciting start to the weekend, but it was Team Brady on top of the combined standings thanks to the work of Emma Kymäläinen and Sam Coleman with the fastest average combined lap time. But it was Team Rafa and Tom Schaap specifically with the fastest time of the weekend. Team Miami just a little bit behind, but less than 2 seconds separating the 5 quickest teams in qualifying. But it's all for today, Greg. It's all where the points are at right now.
Right now, indeed. And of course, that all-important qualifying point, well, Fast Qualifier trophy presented by CEO and co-founder of E1, Rade Basso, presenting that trophy to Sam Coleman and Emma Kymäläinen. And as we look at the stunning backdrop of Villa d'Este, let's take a look now. With that new championship point awarded, Team Brady now up by 14 points over Team Miami, with Westbrook Racing still in 3rd, Team Drogba 4th, Team Rafa in 5th, Brazil sits in the 6th spot, Team Blue Rising 7th, Aoki Racing in the 8th spot, and Team Checo in 9th. So that's how it stands in the championship after qualifying. Team Brady on a roll. It's lovely when something comes full circle, isn't it? This is the birthplace of Alessandro Volta, and we are racing here in Lake Como. And here are the results of the qualification. That now leads us into the semifinals, and it's really 2 halves, if you will. Semifinal 1 and 4 will feature Team Miami, Team Drogba, and Team Brazil. Semifinal 2 and 5, Team Rafa, Westbrook, and Blue Rising. Semifinal 3 and 6, Team Brady, Aoki Racing, and Team Checo. The second of the semifinals for each of these groups will flip. And the big thing we're looking at right now is, Saunders, what does Team Brady need to do? Because they could possibly clinch the championship today. Conversely, what does Team Miami have to do to stave that off?
I mean, we couldn't possibly ask for more jeopardy. By my calculations, if Brady outscore Team Miami by 9 or more points this weekend, they will get the win. So getting into the finals, out of the semi-finals, is a big, crucial step to doing that. However, if Miami finish 4th or above in the finals, they will keep the fight alive, which means that they have to get into the finals. So it's absolutely crucial. And let's find out what's going on the ground with Alex Aljo, see what the vibe's like.
Well, what an afternoon of racing we have ahead of us here at Lake Como, and settings certainly do not get more spectacular than this. We've just been told the conditions are a little calmer, less wind today, but still a lot of swell, and 2 of our celebrity owners, Rafael Nadal and Will Smith, will be watching on from the Ocean Club, which is just behind us here. And what a day it was for Team Brady in qualifying yesterday, but what a day it was for birthday boy Tom Schaap from Team Rafa. Fastest lap in qualifying. Yes. And how are you feeling going into today?
Yeah, I'm super happy about this weekend because, yeah, as you say, yesterday was a special day for me because it's my birthday, but also because our boss is there, so it was super nice to share the time with him, also for my birthday, and he gives some advice to us, so I'm so happy. And yesterday, yes, we're doing super well. All the team make incredible job to prepare this race. And yeah, we took the fastest lap, finished P2 in the combinate. So yeah, now we have to be focusing on the race day. So we'll see what we do. But I'm so happy, and I trust on my team. So we'll see. Yeah.
Absolutely exciting day ahead. Thank you so much, Tom. All the very best. Good luck. Right back to the commentators.
Thank you very much, Alex. And, you know, that's the interesting thing. He had the fastest individual lap in qualifying, but qualifying is 2 runs. Each pilot has to take a run. It's the combined times, and there Brady was just a little bit quicker on the combined times, and they got that key point.
And that's something that Team Rafa have shown in a number of events this season.
Yeah.
You know, that they've been really good at that 1-lap pace, but they've been maybe unlucky when it comes to performance in the actual races and the semi-finals. So maybe we could see a turn of fate this weekend, and they could start putting the pressure on, because that gap, that kind of 3rd to 7th, there's such few points in between those teams.
Yes.
Getting out of these semi-finals and into the final is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the story. Who will play the potential spoiler in this championship battle between Team Brady and Team Miami? That's what the semifinals are all about. Who goes to the finals? The absolutely stunning Villa d'Este. So many different things on the grounds here. Let's take a look at the starting grid for semifinal 1, the first of 2 for this grouping. Team Miami will feature Anna Glennon, Team Drogba, Oban Duncan, the young teen phenom, and Team Brazil, Timmy Hansen, just coming off his, 14th win in World Rallycross. So pretty remarkable what he was able to do there, and hoping to carry, of course, that mojo right through semifinals. All right, there is a look at the beautiful Villa d'Este. Lake Como, absolutely stunning in and of itself, and then the racing is going to be spectacular. Who's coming out for Team Brazil? And that is owned by Marcelo Claure, and it will be Timmy Hansen, as we talked about, an immensely talented road racer.
Yeah, immensely talented, and coming off that back of that winning momentum, potential chance to carry on that, that success into this weekend, something that they clearly can do, because I think they're the first people to admit that they're better in the races than they are in qualifying. Next up we have Team Drogba, of course, with the wonderful Oban Duncan, 19 years old, already 10 years of experience in racing boats, and is a bit of a, she can cause an upset. She can be the person to spoil the party with all that talent that she has.
Yeah, and somehow while she's been winning all those championships, she's in the midst of completing a master's degree. So she clearly is a pretty bright gal, no question about that. An immense future in this sport, considering the experience she already has put into it here. And then we go to Team Miami, second in the points. This is so huge. And that's a look there at Anna Glennon, who will be out in this first one. And Anna has some definite pace. We've seen her put up some absolutely stunning runs. And I love this. She's a pro jet ski racer. And I love that she owns more propellers than dresses, is one of the things she says. That tells you just how committed she is to this sport. And there's a good look at her in her office for the next few minutes as she gets ready to take this stunning Team Miami race bird out for the first of the 2 semifinals for this group. How about some special people on site here? Will Smith, this is the first time he's been able to make it to one of these races, and he is the owner of Westbrook Racing. The name Westbrook comes from the name of his studio, Westbrook Studios, and he has come in here, got a chance to get out in that race bird, take a couple of runs. He is enjoying this immensely.
So let's take a look at what they're dealing with today for the semi-finals and the final. It's a 1.26 kilometer 7-turn racing lap, a huge difference from what we've seen in the last 2 outings. The first late running, much tighter course, fewer longer straights, which could mean more consistent racing lines, potential of getting in each other's way, big challenge in that sense. Turn 7 seems to be the biggest challenge, a near 90-degree turn where there's some extra turbulence to deal with. And talking about the long lap as well, Greg, just finally, that being right at the end of the lap could mean some drama coming into that final corner, potentially for position, so very much looking forward to seeing how that pans out.
Yeah, that's right where the merge is, isn't it? So it's going to be really intriguing. And here we are, we're on the clock now, and you can see the boats, the Racebirds, starting their run, and the key is to get to that start line just a tick after the time runs out. We are bows out and racing here And it is underway, and that looked to be a really, really solid start by Team Brazil. Boy, they got a great nose out front. It's looking really stout right now. Timmy Hansen getting the job done.
Big move up the outside by Team Miami. This is huge. Let's not forget, this is a very, very important semi-final for them. This one and the next one combined, because they need to get into the final to have any hope of winning this championship.
And you can see Anna on that outside line. They were pretty much even all the way up to the turn-in, but then you're on that outside line, and she couldn't turn across until you get to that first turn smart mark, and it's got her trapped a little bit. She's got work to do here, but nice cut. Ooh, she just clobbered that smart mark. She was trying to square that up to straighten that run up and get to the boost coming out of there.
So far, Timmy Hansen doing very well in the lead, using all of that free water ahead, lack of current, less lack of weight coming from the other boats, essentially like doing a qualifying lap here where you've got no interruption from the other boats. But not the same cannot be said for the likes of Owen Duncan and Anna Glennon, who are now dealing with the wake of each other's boats right next to them.
All right, now here's Timmy now coming into that very tricky section up into turn 7. Boy, that looked really stout. And look at Anna now, way down to the inside, trying to make the cut on Oben, side by each through that tight turn 7.
Huge move to get that position back from Owen Duncan. Just the sort of performance that we saw from her in Monaco as well, just kind of full send, giving it everything into the corner to hold position.
Yeah, but Oben ran that little more open line and looked like she was able to just carry more speed as opposed to that really tight cut and go that Anna Glennon ran. And it looks like Oben may have been able to ease it away a little bit here.
This looks like a potential problem for Team Miami. This could be a disaster. Really slow running. They've dropped right behind. It seems to pick up the pace again now, but they're 19 seconds off.
That's massive. Yeah, I mean, obviously, look at, she's still struggling.
Red flag.
We have a red flag in the course. And, yeah, not sure what happened, but, you know, she squared up that corner, went to throttle, and it just started to lay down. Let's see if we can spot what may have happened here.
Oh, she hit the marker.
She's carrying it with it. You can see it's hooked now on that.
Oh, that's not ideal at all.
That's unbelievable. That's absolutely wrapped around the foil. And the problem is now, along with just having to stop and having that issue with the red flag, normally collecting one of those like that tends to be a long lap penalty on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's, you know, what's even more interesting about that is that Team Brady, yet to do a semi-final, also have a long lap penalty from an infringement over the course of between qualifying and now. So now the two runners for the championship both potentially could have penalties. We'll wait to see what happens with Team Miami, but yeah, that is not good news for Anna Glennon or Eric Starr.
Yeah, both in jeopardy. That is a really, really good point here. And let's take another look at it here.
She forced out a little bit by Duncan, having to take the slightest.
No, she cuts here. And just square. She wanted to square out. She had a bunch of spray in her face.
Yeah, I think that's the case. Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, that all of that weight being sprayed up, you can see it probably there. Look, you can't see anything at that point.
She knew she wanted to square up, and boom, you just see it suddenly appear there. Because she'd used that, if you remember, over in turn 3 where she squared up and actually got a really good run on Oben there. So she was thinking, I'm going to do the over-under move essentially. And just got that, and now, yeah, she's got to come into the launch zone.
Can she even get into the launch zone with the donut essentially on the foil? Yeah. Hopefully, it's not too much of a problem to get it off. Oh, actually, just looking at the map, this isn't the launch zone. This is the paddock end towards that kind of end of the first sector. So hopefully, a quick removal so we can get back into the action.
Yeah, that's a great point. They have this area just for incidents like this, so you don't have to go all the way back into the launch zone. So we've got a red flag here. Boy, the drama just building right from the off here. One of our championship contenders having an issue here, and you bring up, you know, that point about Brady on, you know, getting the penalty for the just unauthorized work on the foil. And, you know, the interesting thing is here, keep in mind, after Brady, after the first 2 races, had a commanding lead, 2 straight wins in the championship. Miami back a little bit. 3rd round, Brady ends up not making the final. Miami wins the thing. Suddenly they're leading in the championship. The next round, Brady has a great run in Monaco. Miami, not so much. And we're back to where we are. So these swings can happen.
Absolutely. I mean, just look at this consistency of point scoring, that even if you don't win, you try and maximize the amount of points you can get. You know, Team Brady, yes, they've had 3 wins, but in the one event that they didn't have the win, they just had a single point at the end of the event. Whereas Team Miami have a 16, a 7, a 20, and a 5, so they're consistently scoring better points, which is keeping them in the fight. Yes, they have the deficit to Team Brady now after Monaco, but because of the work they've done so far, they've kept themselves in the fight.
Exactly. And here's the question for you now that we have this little moment here. Let's take a look first at the replay here of the start of this race, and it was everybody was really, really good through the start line and side by side heading up into that first turn. Watch it here now. And they're coming up. Remember, you've got to hold your lane all the way up to that first turn, which is basically turn 3. You can see your Anna a little bit behind at this point, but she timed her run really well, went to boost right there. You can see her gaining and pulling right up along the outside of everybody, but in a way that may have been problematic because it made it tough for her to try and turn in at turn 3. Look at her, she's here, but now what?
It was just, it was full send, using that boost to try and make the position. But you know, this is delivering. The course is delivering exactly what we wanted.
Exactly.
Being more tight, being a bit more sensitive, where there really is less lines on hand to use.
Yes.
There's more preferred options, but only enough for one boat to use it.
Now watch Anna's move right here. As you can see Oben closing in on Timmy, and Anna just squares that right there. Clout gives that smart market clout, but it worked that time because she gained a ton of space on Oben here.
You can see a huge difference here between chasing the leader and being the leader. How much smoother out of the water, how much more balance there is sitting on the foils that Timmy Hansen has there. The others just shaking about behind them, getting caught in his wake.
And this is a good time for us to talk about something. This water looks quite calm, and it is a little calmer than yesterday for sure. But this is a very, very deep water lake, and that's causing some unique hydrodynamics under the water that's really affecting these race birds.
For sure, you've got a deep part of the lake, and then you've got the shallower waters from the coastline mixing with it, causing all sorts of issues.
Let's watch this real quick here, because this is where this happened here. Right here, Anna trying to cut back, make a move. Oh, she just center punched that.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it probably just goes completely out of vision.
Yep.
Tried their best, but couldn't get around it.
And then she collected the stabilizing donut at the bottom there. So that's why we're under the red flag. But again, let's get back to that, because particularly to me, when you watch them come out of turn 6, there's that sort of short shoot into turn 7.
Yes.
And before they've even started setting up to turn into 7, we've seen the race bird suddenly just kind of twitch really badly, and that's probably where that shelf is, and that's generating some of these.
For sure. I mean, you picked up on it yesterday during qualifying. That moment is almost the moment where the colder water of the deeper lake meets the shallower water of the coast, and then basically you've got, without getting too technical, you've got a difference in density because of the cold and the heat, and you create that energy, and it's creating this turbulence pretty much at the point where they need to think about turning on the sharpest corner on the course.
Yeah, it's immensely challenging, no question about that. While we're under the red flag, let's get back down to Alex Alcho, who is standing by with Lisa Gosain-Battaglia from Team Blue Rising.
Yeah, I am indeed. That semi didn't quite go to plan. Lisa, you were in the next semi. You were watching that. Yeah. What's your take on it? What did you make of it?
It was incredible because on the first corner, Anna touched the red buoy, so first little crash on the foil, and after with Drogba team, she hurt the yellow buoys, but in a big crash. And I know this track is difficult because the corners are very difficult for the boat. And now I hope for me it's okay. I don't want to crash my foil, but I understand it's a difficult track today.
Will you do something differently having seen that?
I don't know what I can say, but I hope just the boat of Team Miami is okay to do the round 2, and we need to do the race, so I hope we have time because we are in late.
Yeah, absolutely right. Semi-final 2 will be underway shortly. Lisa, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much. very much. Bye-bye.
Boy, she just came off of in Monaco a very special moment when she became the first Monegasque female to run in a professional event there. Just remarkable what she's been able to achieve this year. And again, we see the two remaining race birds here from Team Brazil, Team Drogba, after that little bit of an issue, obviously. Let's take another look at what has caused this red flag. And Anna Glennon was trying to make up ground. And she, right here, Sandra, she was going to try the over-under move and got sprayed.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit out of sorts with the position, with Oban Duncan cutting across, creating all that wake and all of that kind of lack of visibility with the water splashing over the cockpit. She just thought she maybe had a bit more room than she did to make that turn in on the inside of the marker. As we can see there, that wasn't the case, and she left with a bit more out of that corner than she wanted.
Oh, you can see her reaction right there. She knew it. She just saw that yellow smart mark appear, and she could feel that it jolted the bolt of the race bird just a little bit. And look at the reaction. And, let's go back. We haven't really addressed the spray sometimes. You go back to the opening round at Jeddah, and it was Team Rafa that looked like they were on an absolute mission there. We're flying. And then Chris Lavaraga was in some spray and turned and actually squared up too much around one of the smart marks and cut the second one, just because she couldn't see.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
All right, there is Timmy Hansen, and he is just patiently waiting here on that beautiful race bird for Team Brazil.
Smiling, which is good. Nice to see.
Maybe he's keeping himself chipper in the heat.
Thinking about that rallycross win.
Exactly.
Think if he can get another one today, another win for his belt.
He's been one of those non-marine racers that has really seems to have adapted quite well to this. I think it's just sheer talent.
Yeah, I mean, I think coming from the rally world, knowing what it's like to try and keep a line and keep control under being thrown around in your seat. Obviously, there's a lot you can take from that. The way you use the steering wheel and the operational functions on the steering wheel is relative to racing on tracks and racing in rally, which is experience that the powerboat pilots don't have, or the jet ski pilots don't have. But yeah, one of a few good things to have Timmy Hansen back, obviously missing out in Monaco. But let's have a look at some other special guests, because as we know, we have this amazing thing in E1 where the team owners are of significant note. We're talking, A-list celebrities and A-list athletes, Will Smith being one of them. He's here this weekend, and yesterday took part in something very, very cool to watch. Greg, I never thought I would have seen the day where Will Smith and Rafa Nadal did a drag race in an electric foil boat on Lake Como. But it happened. Let's take a look. Great moment for that.
Rafa, good to see you. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Regular steering wheel, got it. Okay, boom, chance, boom, reverse, boom, boost. Help! That's the help. That's the help button. That's the help button. Help! Okay. All right.
Have fun.
See you in a few. All right.
You're gonna drive?
Yeah, going in there. Oh man, I'm excited about this. I know, right? Hey!
Well, it's so cool, man. It's the moment we were waiting for the whole season, no? He's here in Lake Como testing it and giving it a go, and he's enjoying. That's the most important.
Rafa's now leaving. All right. Copy that, ready to go. That was fantastic. I felt it when it went up. I like this. We're going to be doing this for a couple hours now. And I'll be on the right, he'll be on the left. So I'm good to go. Yeah, it felt good. I lost sight of the finish line.
You enjoy?
A lot. Yeah. That's fantastic. Ah, that's great. Dude, that's fun. That's really fun. Rafa,
next time we do a real race.
Yeah, we do a real one. Yeah, you know.
I already lost my job, I think.
I think you could tell by just the joy and the infectious energy there that they enjoyed that moment. I was kind of impressed with how long they were able to keep it up on the foil and give it a serious speed run.
Yeah, it's good to see they were giving it kind of full beans as well when it came to that drag race. They were really getting involved, which is great.
And we've got some amazing other team owners. Mark Anthony there, Didier Drogba, a complete football legend, Marcelo Claure. Yeah, his story is interesting. He's not an athlete, he's not an actor. He's a hugely successful businessman who's turned into a massive philanthropic endeavor. And there was Tom Brady, man, seven Super Bowl wins, 4 MVPs, I think.
Yeah, and in prime position.
Steve Aoki there.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Aoki, internationally renowned DJ, Tom Brady, like you said, Mark Anthony. We've got people from all different disciplines and categories, the top of their game, now looking to E1 to scratch that competitive itch.
And you see that team celebrating because they are leading in the points. You know, it's interesting, how many other times, how many other events, whatever you see, well, we've got some celebrities, and they end up being B-listers or C-listers. Here, A-listers, all. It is so impressive here. Here now, again, after the qualifying runs where Brady got that key single point and opened their margin up to 14 over Team Miami, then Westbrook another 10 back. Only 1 more back for Team Drogba, only 4 more back for Rafa. I mean, you can see the margins are relatively tight in this grouping here. But the big question I have is now, obviously, we're going to see Team Miami get a third in this semifinal. Odds are we're going to see Brady, although we've seen Sam Coleman overcome long laps before, but odds are they could end up with a third in their semifinal. Can you make it directly to the final with a first and a third?
I mean, that's the big question, and that's where you look to the rest of the teams to see what they can do to upset that potential party, because otherwise, you know, we said it before, just a reminder, Brady need to outscore Miami by just 9 points come the end of the day to do the job, to secure it in the championship. So, yeah, how the next few sessions unfold, it stands for a lot.
Yeah, oh, huge. We just saw a shot there in that milling area, and it's kind of over close to the shoreline. And over there, because you get the motion of the lake hits the shoreline and it comes back a little bit. And just sitting there like that, these race birds are moving around a little bit. And here's the thing, you know, we saw in the video of the runs that Will Smith and Rafa Nadal did, water coming into the cockpit. That was refreshing because it is toasted. Right now, it's 83 degrees in Como, Italy, at Lake Como, but it's humid and it feels like 93 degrees right now. And in these enclosed cockpits, and there's not a lot of air moving, it is an oven.
Yeah, absolutely. And then imagine trying to race in that, all the intensity, the sweat of everything, and all the effort you're putting into it. I think we are about to have, or hopefully soon, have a, unfortunately, 2-boat restart. Yep. With Team Miami needing to do some repairs on their race bird, but hopefully we'll be out for the second half, you know, the second semi-final for them. But as you said before, Greg, it's a default third place in this semi-final, which means it's going to be very hard to make it into the finals.
Yeah, you see there Tom Schaap with the sunglasses on, the gal with her back to us, that's Chris Larraga. Those are the 2 pilots for Team Rafa, and that's the team that is owned by Rafa Nadal. And based on what we saw in qualifying in terms of just speed, especially from Tom Schaap, I would say this would be the leading candidate to be a disruptor here.
Yeah, I mean,
come in and do something.
I would agree, I think, yeah, but they are going up against Team Westbrook and Team Blue Rising. So, I mean, Team Westbrook have shown really good performance. You know, we're seeing on screen right now, Lucas and Sarah, that they just seem to have adapted to E1 and racing on electric foils. I would say arguably better than everyone, maybe outside of Brady.
Yeah.
Just because of, you know, they didn't even take part in the first event.
I know. Yeah, it's been just astounding what they did. It was interesting when the first event ended, they didn't even exist.
Yeah.
And yet they showed up. First event went right to 8th, then to a tie for 3rd, and now outright 3rd. And they've done it in 1 less event. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Not to mention that neither of them have any powerboat experience as well. Yeah, they both come from the world of track and rally racing. So, yeah, it's incredible work what they've done.
Here's a good look at Chris as she is going to be heading out in this next semi-final here. She'll be on that Team Rafa, in that Team Rafa boat. It'll be Lucas Ordonez for Westbrook Racing and Lisa Cassem-Battaglia. Alex talked to you a little bit earlier for Team Blue Rising. And we still have those 2 racebirds out there waiting, so which tells me they still think they're going to be going for a run. And obviously they must have powered down, because just to be sitting this amount of time draining the battery would, because this is all about energy. And you've got a certain amount of energy, and if you get to the point where you use a little bit too much, you lose speed.
Yeah, I mean, you have to start racing slightly reserved, where hopefully that wouldn't be the case there, because they just was just under a lap of running before the red flag, and sitting and just idling probably doesn't do too much in terms of energy consumption, but the heat will.
That's
because
the kick.
With as hot as it is, just to convert what you said 85, that's sort of like 30-ish, like high 20s, 30 degrees centigrade. So that is putting a little bit of extra pressure on the battery as it releases that energy. It makes it work harder to keep cool, so it uses more energy essentially.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's to point out to people, when you get to electric racing, heat is a huge killer of battery efficiency. And so that's all part of it here. So there's a lot. These you think about it. All right, it's a boat on water, but there's so much with this new tech, that everybody has to be a bit on top of. All right, looks like we're going to get our restart here. Timmy Hansen heading out.
It'll be interesting to see a head-to-head like this. To have a Racebird v Racebird, Hansen v Duncan.
So as we can see here, it is a staggered start. Remember, Hansen had built up a nice little lead, and so what the officials have done is what that lead was at the end of that first lap, they have given that amount of time to Hansen to lead. Then Oben took off. So now it's down to what Oben can do. Remember, we saw her make up a long lap penalty in one of the earlier events. When she finds that groove, she is wicked quick.
Absolutely, but it's going to be a battle of balance right now. Who's got the best trim setup to enable to sit the foils above the optimum point above the water and keep it as smooth as possible, not kind of the nose cone dipping and going up and down too much, keeping it kind of like what we're seeing right now with Timmy Hansen, pretty level, almost like a straight line over the water.
And there you saw Marcelo Claure, who's the team owner for Team Brazil, and obviously very vested here. One of the, we've talked about the hydrodynamics and the issues that's been causing, but this is our first run of the season on a lake, as Timmy Hansen going for that long lap. This is our first run on a lake. It doesn't have the salinity of the ocean, so the water's not as dense, tougher to keep it up on the foil. Now, in every race, you have to do one long lap, and it's a huge strategy when you do that. Timmy opting to do it here because I think he knows when he comes out of it, he's going to have some pretty smooth water to be able to deal with. And remember that it's still going to be Oben Duncan is going to have to do one as well.
Yeah, let's talk about the points on offer as well from this semi-final.
Excuse me, I was actually Oben that did the long.
Okay. So talking about the points.
Yeah.
What you need to do. There is two halves, essentially a first half and a second half of these semi-finals.
Right.
We've got one pilot going out now, and then again their teammate will go out in a later semi-final. The combined points from position will then go to whether they get into the final or not. So let's explain the points, because it's 6 points, isn't it, for a win? Yep. So that's obviously available twice. And then you get the case of where, unfortunately, Team Miami right now, which is 3 points, which is the lowest points you can get in a semi-final. But it is it's kind of a two-half event.
Exactly.
Really. So yes, you might have a disappointing first semi-final, but if your teammate can then get in the Racebird and do a good job, there's always still a chance based on what your competitors end up.
Well, and here's the deal: if Team Miami is designated as a DNF, they get 1 point. And a DNF did not finish.
That's a huge difference.
So we'll have to see what happens here in that, but that's a big difference, and we'll see whether they get that assigned or not. And what can happen here is if you have some sort of a penalty, if you're slightly too quick to the start line, they're not just going to stop and restart it. You have to do another long lap. So that long lap is used, one, for just strategic purposes within the race, and also as a means of penalizing mistakes.
So if we look at the deficit or the loss of time during that long lap, just looking at the last two, there was I think it was about 7 or 8 seconds between the 2 lap times. I think it's hard to know if that's exactly right, but once Timmy Hansen uses his long lap, we'll get a good idea of how much time is lost to then factor into the other semi-finals and then the finals later on.
Well, I'll tell you what, Timmy is making good use of that smooth water he has right now. He just said fastest first sector of this race, sub 23 seconds. So he is really on the move here. Oben not too far off, a 23 flat. So their lap times are really, really close. Best laps and last laps only 0.2 apart. So the two of them are very, very close. The problem is that 6-second deficit that Timmy had built up before the red flag that they honored him with.
Yeah, interestingly, the lap time's looking about 6 seconds slower than what we saw in qualifying yesterday, despite what looked like, from our point of view at least, calmer waters. So maybe they're learning something about that turn 7, and maybe slower is smoother and smoother is faster.
Well, look at the merge here, and there you can see Timmy and Team Brazil played that to absolute perfection, because there you go, he came out, and when they started that, it was a 15-second deficit. Now it's a 6-second deficit, right back where they were. So your numbers were spot on. And look at Marcelo thrilled, because he understands now that, all right, they were able to maintain that and keep this pace going here. And so Timmy Hansen, what an absolute run. And that was it. They came through, understandably shortened that final just a little bit with just 2 of these race birds, one for energy, one for time. And so in Miami, all right, on the scoring, Miami is noted as a, oh boy, it's 0 points at this point. So let's take a look here at the results here of this drama-filled first semifinal for semifinal Group 1. Just absolutely amazing and drama-laden. So here are the results from the first semifinal round, and you can see Team Miami right there having the problem early with Anna Glennon getting that smart mark and ending up with a DNF. Oben Duncan for Team Drogba just could not overcome that 6-second deficit, and Timmy Hansen absolutely flying out there and winning it for Team Brazil.
Yeah, that's the first one of the day. Obviously, we have the repeat of that on the other half to come. But first, we do have to go down to Alex Aljo and see what's going on down in the ground in Lake Como. Alex?
Yeah, I'm here with Sarah from Westbrook Racing. Right, the important things out the way first. Who do these sunglasses belong to? And tell me the story.
Oh man, yesterday I saw Will. We hung out all day. You got to drive the race.
Hold on, define Will who? Will who?
Oh, yeah, sorry, Will Smith.
First name terms now.
Yeah, you know, we're friends. No, it's been really cool to have him, but yesterday he came out and he was looking just flossing, and I was like, dude, your shades are so rad. And then he came to the gala and he goes, hey, I brought these just for you. And so I honestly haven't taken them off.
So fingers crossed, they're a lucky pair of sunglasses for this afternoon's racing. How good is it having Will Smith here, and how much is he motivating you? Is he giving you a motivational speech ahead of this one?
Oh, it's been awesome. He is honestly an amazing person, and we're very proud to be a part of his team. And yeah, it's we have just such an amazing team, like from the performance side to the owners, and then Lucas right now is about to get in the boat, and we have just a good strategy always, and we hope that it can keep us on top, you know, like we want to be there, we want to be in that first spot, and we've had 2 podiums, and we missed it barely the last race, and so we want to get that podium again, and so we're craving it.
So you've sent Lucas out first. You just told me it's about strategy. What is the strategy, or is that secret?
Nah, I'm not going to tell you guys a strategy, but I have to say that you have to know your competition here. There is a lot of little things that go into play, a lot of strategy, a lot of rules you have to follow. So there's a lot of penalties always going on here, so you really never know until the official word is said. So it's just do the best you can as a racer, but you also have to play the game, and that's what E1 is, and it makes it pretty fun, I think. It makes it interesting, and you know, the more you get involved with it, the more you get to understand that side of it. It just makes the racing that much better.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait. Sarah, just before we hand back, can I try them on?
Yeah.
Let's see. They suit me. Who wore them better, me or Will Smith?
I mean, I've got to say, Alex, looking pretty good in those sunglasses.
Yeah, both of them were looking pretty sharp in those sunglasses, to be sure. And we're going to have, I'm going to have anyway, Alex ask her what flossing means.
Yeah, great to hear from Sarah Price.
Yeah, absolutely.
Greg, let's have another look at this course map, because there's a couple of points of it, a couple of characteristics that are proving very tricky for our pilots. Turn 7 being the crucial turn. We've talked about it a lot yesterday when qualifying. It's definitely the biggest challenge. It's a near 90-degree turn. at a point where there's a natural form of turbulence with that shallower, less dense water, with hotter water coming off the coast, and the deeper, colder water, more dense, coming from underneath, causing a little bit of friction, almost like a mini whirlpool.
Yeah,
it seems to just be affecting the boats.
And that's right where the merge exits, essentially. Yeah. And it's almost in the setup, when you're starting to set up for turn 7, when you get that little whirlpool effect, destabilizes the racebird a bit, and then you've got to get turned in. And it's been interesting watching the energy that's been coming through those foils as that boat moves, and now adding in today the merge aspect of it with the long lap. We get 2 of those racebirds side by side through that area, battling with the merge. It's going to be interesting.
We have to remind ourselves as well that this has never been done before.
Yes.
Electric foil racing just didn't exist before. Foils were traditionally designed to go in a straight line efficiently, where they've been redesigned and rethought about for E1 to be able to race each other in all different courses around the world, both from racing on big wave ocean, what we've seen in previous races, to now on the calm, well, more calm lake of Lake Como. It's truly unique, and it's amazing to see.
Yeah, and it's got, the technology is amazing, but also needing to be thinking about the salinity of the water, the density of the water, how that affects the foil. There's so much to be on top of here with these racebirds in this debut season of this incredible championship with this great technology, all aimed at, ultimately creating and helping launch technology that will be better for the marine environment. And that's absolutely key. And
Lake Como playing a good role in that as well.
Yes.
I think they're one of the first lakes in Europe, maybe the world, to actually start putting in electric infrastructure when it comes to charging the next generation of motors, of boat motors, being electric.
All right, so this is going to be interesting and going to be coming out in this one. Our next semifinal will include Westbrook Racing, and for the first time this year, it's celebrity team owner, and a great one at that, Will Smith, on hand to watch it. So here's the starting lineup for our second semifinal, the first of 2 for this group. Team Rafa, it will be Chris Ladaraga will be coming out in this first one. For Team Westbrook, it'll be Lucas Ordonez. And for Team Blue Rising, Lisa Gassen Battaglia will be behind the wheel of that Team Blue Rising racebird. Here's a look at Lisa Gassen Battaglia. We heard from her just a little bit earlier. The Monegasque coming off of a strong performance in her home city of Monaco. And she is what I would call a Renaissance lady. There is no question about that. She is a world-class jet ski racer. She plays multiple instruments. She has a master's degree in philosophy. And she said, when I'm done racing, I want to teach philosophy. That is a pretty well-rounded person.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, see what she can do. For Team Westbrook, we have Lucas Ordonez. Now, really interesting background for Lucas, coming from the world of virtual racing and virtual Gran Turismo, but then going into the real world of LMP2, winning that, and obviously being on a Le Mans podium as well. So lots of experience there in racing. Maybe not in the water racing, but seemingly hasn't impacted Team Westbrook too much because their performance has been pretty good.
Yeah, and he has the ability, obviously, to understand smooth. That's what you play with, and that helps here. Then for Team Rafa, again owned by Rafa Nadal, this is Chris Ladaraga, and she too is a world-class jet ski racer and loves anything with an engine. But one of the things she says, part of what her get away from it and her decompression time is cooking. Just being able to relax and get into that. But she climbs behind the wheel of this, and she has proven to be very, very quick as well. So looking forward to this second of the semifinals, the first of 2 for this particular group. But what happens when they get to the second one? They flip lanes. So everybody at some point gets the opportunity here as we are getting ready to go in the region of Lombardy and the city of Cernobbia, right here in the beautiful low Alps and Lake Como for the Lake Como Grand Prix to the GP. There's a look at Will as he is. There's Rafa right there with him at this point in the white shirt, having a look here. Boy, talk about 2 incredibly talented people watching Two incredibly talented people in their race birds, and a third one out there as well. This should be fascinating to see, and we are in to the official 30-second count for the start. You can see the clock there, 21:20.
All eyes on Team Rafa as the ones that seem to have been able to perform so well on this course. They had really good pace yesterday. They were the quickest when it came to one lap pace, obviously not combined quickest,
right.
But let's see if they can do that, because crucially, in order to do that sort of lap, you need to get out in front into the clean water, which makes that first turn absolutely crucial.
Wait, look at how wide Chris decided to go there. I think and look at that, if she times this right, she did. She has got a nice lead, but did she use her boost too soon? Let's see what can happen. Can Lucas Ordonez come up? Can Lisa Battaglia doing an absolutely marvelous job getting up inside there? And she started to get a little bit of that porpoising, but look at Chris around the outside. What a move by Chris Lazaraga. Used that ultra wide lane to the start, ramped the outside right to the lead from row 3. We haven't seen that very often.
That was all about clean water, not having any turbulence from the other way, to be able to use the boost, make that move and make it stick, because the moment she came in front of the other two race birds, she caused them all sorts of turbulence and made that gap even bigger.
You could see the grin on Rafa's face there as he watched that, but Lisa Gassane right now and Lucas Ordonez in a side-by-side duel into turn number 5. This is one of those somewhat tricky right-handers, and still side-by-side. Nice job there by Lucas, giving her just enough room to be able to maintain that position. But up front, what a opening lap by Lazaraga.
Yeah, absolutely flying Lisa there. But, you know, the other two of the Westbrook Blue Rising boats trying to keep as close to each other as possible to not get disturbed by each other's weight. You saw both of them using the boost at the same time, then almost reacting to each other. And this is foil to foil action, Greg.
Yeah, Lazaraga out front, but look at this duel. And again, Lisa Battaglia doing a superb job running side by side, and even getting through that little right-hander well, getting a good drive here as Lazaraga making the turn in right now. The margin at the line, about 8 seconds here. And now let's see who can do something with this. Remember, every one of these 3 race birds has to do one of those long laps. And what we've generally been seeing is if you're in the lead, you wait to do it till as late as possible, because you've got that smooth, calmest water.
A big opportunity to build the gap, build, make that deficit big enough so you lose as little time as possible by using your long lap. I think that's the strategy we're going to see here from Team Rafa.
Oh, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Save the boat. He's already understanding it. They got a lead, save the boat.
This is great, having a live reaction cam from 2 team owners, Will Smith and Rafa Nadal here, going head to head. They know what it's like being in these race boats on this water as Team Rafa come around that corner. Now, this early long lap use here from Team Westbrook, interesting strategy. Maybe they believe that the clean water is worth more than the time lost in the long lap.
I think so. I think that's exactly it. And, you know, if they can come out, find that water, and really lay down some laps, then when Lisa Battaglia has to do hers, you know, if they've been able to run quicker on their clean water, Westbrook Racing, that can make them move to the front. But you can see pretty close there at the merge, so it's going to be fascinating to see. What did you say you were noticing it was about 10 seconds for the merge?
Well, I was just thinking, I was just looking at the timing, and they've almost halved that. So that Team Westbrook use has actually gone it's gone very, very well, because now there's only a just short of 5-second gap between Team Rafa and Team Westbrook. So they've done very well.
I'm stunned by how close Westbrook is after doing the long lap here. That's pretty impressive here. And right now, Lisa is going to have relatively clean water, because Chris right up there, you see her heading out of frame to the left. So Lisa's got relatively clean water and smooth water as well. She just has to really fly here. Ordonez on that last lap just set the fastest first sector. Now, of course, then he had to go in to the long lap. So this is going to be an interesting study here.
Yeah, well, let's look to see when Team Blue Rising activate their long lap, because there might not be. Now there's only just under a 3-second gap between Team Blue Rising and Team Westbrook. This is a good chance for Lucas to make that undertake and make it work.
It is, but what we're seeing now is, you know, I think that long lap, it put him right in the wash coming off of Lisa's boat, so he has got to figure a way. But boy, he's dealing with it.
The gap's going down and down. We just, you know, it's 1.5 seconds currently now. So Lucas is in a perfect position now, because when Lisa takes the long lap, he's just going to be able to sneak right in as long as the corners go well. And
but look what happened here. When he turned into 7, he caught a little bit of the wake from Lisa on that foil, and you can see that huge plume of spray that shot up, and it just parked him a little bit. He lost a lot of momentum just in that moment here. Lizarraga for Rafa is up by 15.5 seconds at this stage. Then it's only right now, well, it just went from 3 to 4 to 5 seconds in that exchange, and I think that was that little bit of momentum when he hooked that foil right into her wake and cost him a lot of time.
Has that cost him the position as well? We're going to see very shortly as Lisa and Team Blue Rising activate their long lap where they have to do it before the session is over. It's going to be very tight. We're looking at currently just over 5 seconds gap between the two race birds. That is shorter than what we saw in the last semi-final, but based on how well Westbrook took it, there's a chance that they might be able to get away with it.
And as we're watching Rafa doing its long lap, they should be pretty clear into the merge, and Lisa Battaglia waiting at this point, and they're going to be grouped pretty well. But remember, Lisa for Team Blue Rising is the one race bird that has not yet done that long lap, and she's going to have to do it this next time.
Interestingly, the gap just dropped by 10 seconds between Rafa's use of the long lap and Team Blue Rising behind, suggesting that it was a 9 or 10 second deficit by going in the long lap. So that would mean that currently, as it stands, Lucas Ordóñez will be able to make the position when Team Blue Rising use a long lap.
Absolutely. This is going to be really intriguing to see how it plays out. And what right now, of course, Lizarraga, she's got that margin, but as you said, it dropped a little bit. But Lisa has not done that lap. But one thing Chris can't do yet is just ease off much because of the way, the speed that we're seeing from Lucas right now. Even in the wake, he did have that one moment, but he's eating away at it again. He has knocked that deficit down from that 8 or 5 second deficit down to 2.5 here. So he is starting to come back after him here. And then you see Will really watching to see what's unfolding here.
Team Westbrook have a great setup, seemingly maybe even having a strategy of not pushing too much on Lisa in front in the Team Blue Rising race bird and just having that clean water in order to make up any time loss. But we're not just talking about position here, we're talking about advancing into the final and ultimate points, which at this stage in the championship go a long, long way.
Oh, it's huge, isn't it? All right, here we go. Is Lisa Gassen, or excuse me, this is Chris Lizarraga coming through. Big win in this semifinal for Rafa. We talked about they could be the spoilers here in a way, and Lizarraga getting the job done here. Here comes Ordóñez flying around as Lisa has to do that long lap, and he is going to come through, really putting the hammer down a little bit here, and comes through at 13 seconds adrift. So that was a dominant run by Chris for Team Rafa. Westbrook there in second, and then Lisa Battaglia will be back another 9 seconds. So absolutely great run, and pretty cool here. These two team owners, their race birds just went 1-2.
It's amazing to see how into it they're getting, and I knew the moment they stepped in the race birds yesterday, they would understand it more, they'd believe it, and they'd really enjoy it.
Absolutely incredible run here, and Chris doing a stunning job for Rafa up front, and there is Tom Schaap, who had the fastest individual lap in qualifying. So a superb run there. So we're going to see if we can't have a chat with Chris Lizarraga in that beautiful race bird. Chris, this is Greg in the TV booth. You put together an absolutely superb run, doing exactly what you needed to do.
Yes, I am very, very happy, really. I think we deserve this type of position because we have been working so hard, and I am so happy for the team, really. And I'm very happy.
As you should be. Great lap. You turn it over to the guy who was fastest in qualifying yesterday. Team Rafa looking strong. Well done.
a mi padre. Te quiero, papá.
Absolutely love it. You can see the joy when you have a run like that and you win in such dominant form here. Lucas went down swinging. I mean, it was a solid second, played that long lap to perfection, and came home second here, and that's not too bad. Second is, you know, at this, as we heard Sarah say to Lucas yesterday, I gave you something to work with.
For sure, yeah, it's one step closer to the final, and you know, there's more we can say on that shortly, but yeah, very, very good start so far.
So let's take a look at some of the highlights here, and you can see that start. And you know, when I saw Lisa swinging way out wide, that's almost lane 4 width, if you will, and she got the nose ahead. She had a plan here and executed it beautifully.
Yeah, and it actually, that by having that free movement in front of you, having that open water, making that move was easy, but it also cost the 2 race birds behind you. That extra weight, you've always created a gap by being ahead, but also made it from behind as well. It's the perfect move.
And look, folks, at those onboards, all the movement inside that they are dealing with. It is a violent sport here because these things really move around in the water. And Lisa Kassane drove a couple of absolutely beautiful laps to get into a solid second and had some great moves here. But then in that red Westbrook boat, we saw Lucas Ordonez starting to put it together. But at the end, an absolutely storming drive by Chris Ladaraga for Team Rafa. You can see Tom Schaap there, absolutely jubilant with that performance. She looked really stout.
Yeah, dominant for Team Rafa. And just to give you an idea of what that means, you know, if things go well in the second semi-final and Team Rafa make it into the final, that's a guaranteed 7 points.
That's huge, and that's the whole thing, advancing into the finals. Look at the celebrations. Will Smith and Lucas, and there's Sarah, of course, coming in. And I think she's now super glued those glasses to her forehead here that she got from Will here. But, you know, extraordinary effort here by, and again, we've talked about neither of these pilots any experience in anything on the water, and what they and the team have done since they missed the first round because they didn't exist has been really stout. Listening in here, you can hear it. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, Sarah's saying it there. We've got to get to that final because currently where they're sitting third in the championship, really the points on offer make Team Rafa a real competitor for that third spot.
Oh, they do, absolutely. Let's listen in.
I'm furious, but now I'm happy. So there you go.
We keep rumbling.
Great chat.
How you choose when you do the long lap?
The radio man.
Yes. Yeah,
It's
when
nice
you
to
see
listen
the
in,
gap
isn't
and
it?
you
Kind of get a sense of what they're feeling.
We manage with the gap between the
And I mean,
riders.
these owners are into it. You hear that? You know, what made you choose when you did the long lap? They want to understand the strategy here. They are ultimately truly competitive.
Hey, you need to come more time. But it's, I mean, when...
So, semi-final 2 is in the books. Let's take a look at the results. Lisa Kassane Battaglia, a great drive for Team Blue Rising. Just not quite enough to be able to hang on to that second spot in third. Lucas Ordonez storming up into that second spot for Westbrook. And then Team Rafa delivering what we thought could be a really strong effort. Chris Ladaraga living up to the hype and now turning it over to Tom Schaap when they come out for the next group. They are looking really strong. And I've got to wonder here, how many of the other competitors were watching that start, watch what Chris Ladaraga did, and are going, that might be something to think about here. The whole key there, isn't it, Saunders, is you've got to be in front when you get to that point. But, boy, she nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, reinforcing that point about how much clean water does to your running. Like, how much balance you can have.
Right.
Better sitting on the floor you can be, which essentially equals speed and acceleration and efficient performance. It's exactly what you need. And sometimes it's about taking the option that seems slow in order to give you that smooth running, which ultimately means you're faster. So it's a bit of kind of a mental change of thinking, but it does work, evidently.
Well, it's kind of that balance point, isn't it? Where will my speed overcome that longer distance? And if it will, do it every time. All right, here's Lisa having a chat there, and that's Michele Lobadan, I think. No, that's Michele Lobadan, who will be going out in just a little bit as well. But again, Team Rafa, Chris Ladaraga putting on an absolutely incredible run. And let's check in. I think Alex has found the pilot.
Yeah, I have found. So I found Chris Ladaraga, who stole the show there. Could that have gone much better for you?
No. To be honest, I have to say that I was feeling really good inside the boat. Everything went smooth. I felt light, and I had an amazing work with my radio man. So everything went as we planned. We got that P1 that we wanted. So now it's Tom's job, but I rely on him 100%. So let's see.
Rafael Nadal came down to celebrate with you. I saw he was jumping up and down in the Ocean Club. What were those celebrations like? No,
of course. I mean, to represent a legend as him, it's amazing. So imagine what it means for me as an Spanish also to come down the boat with a P1 and be able to hug him. I'm so happy.
So pressure on Tom next. Do you have faith in him? Because what a day it was for him yesterday.
Yeah, and I mean, there's pressure, but Tom can handle it because for me, he's the best pilot in the grid, so all good.
Good feeling? Could this be your weekend?
Yeah, well, why not? Of course. Yeah, we're going to go for it.
Brilliant, Chris. Thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Why not? I love that line. My wife says to me all the time, when there's the lottery and she decides to buy a ticket when the numbers are up there, there's absolutely no reason it couldn't be us.
That's a fair point.
Same mentality, right? Yeah.
Chris being very generous and very kind to our teammate there, saying that she thinks he's the best pilot on the grid. And it's
based on his time in qualifying.
Well, time in qualifying, but also being a champion of powerboat and a champion of karting, creating both disciplines that builds up the majority of this grid, and being a champion in both of them.
Yeah,
it's good experience, and also like you said, performance in pace so far. What we've seen this weekend, it almost feels like things can only get better for Team Rafa when they come to their second semi-final.
I mean, his individual lap was a half-second quicker than anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, now if we talk about what's coming up though, Team Brady, I think they've actually got a very favourable group here because they're going up against the two of the teams that have struggled a little bit when it comes to race performance and qualifying performance. So it's just finding their feet is taking a little bit longer than other teams. Team Brady flying above when it comes to adapting, especially here. Yes, they do have that penalty, but they might have the performance to overcome it at least and do the best they can.
Well, one of the things, we talk a lot, obviously, about the celebrity owners. We talk a lot about the pilots, but Joe Sturdy and Ben King and that team, their engineers, they have really got a handle on this. And this is a team sport because if you can tweak with a foil sanding or whatever to find that little bit of extra speed, you can figure out if we can run this trim a little longer, whatever it is. And that's a team effort that makes this happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's an example maybe to explain that penalty slightly while we look at Michele Alabardan for Aoki Racing Team. With Brady, that penalty's come from doing something which they're allowed to do, which is kind of sanding the foils to make them a bit more streamlined, a bit more aerodynamic. But you can only do it with certain sorts of materials. It seemed that they did it with a material they weren't allowed to do it with, which could make enough difference to cause an unfair advantage in performance. I guess that's what the theory is.
Yeah, and you can see there for the Aoki Racing what their results have been this year at the various rounds, and you can see they just haven't quite got there consistently. Come in here 8th in the points, and you want to finish the season as strong as you can. And if you can finish 5th as opposed to 8th, you're going to go for it. And so that's what's going on right now. And on board that one, the Aoki Racing boat, will be Saud Ahmed, who we have seen put together some really, really strong runs here. There's Yeva Miliare Hagen, who came in at Monaco as a reserve driver. And again, she is going to be heading out there for Team Checo in the next runs. Again, because Vicky Piria off announcing Formula One. But Danny Close is going to be on board on this one right now and heading out. You can see they are 9th in the standings, and they'd love to have a big weekend here.
Yeah, they would need a big weekend as well because these are the two teams currently that haven't made it into a final yet. So if you are Team Brady, where you need to get into the final, that's kind of the best possible group you can hope for.
That's right, but let's remember, Brady has to do 2 long laps in this one. And but the fact that you saw that long lap number coming down to under 10 seconds or so, it's not insurmountable. It'd be tough,
Well, if you
but
say
it's doable. We've seen it happen.
If we say that 5-6 seconds is the best possible long lap
Yep.
deficit they can have, and Brady can be 2.5 seconds quicker over 2 laps, the other 2 laps, potentially there's a chance that they could do it. They could do the 2 long laps and still at least finish second, maybe. So
Yep.
let's remember, it's going to be a big ask for
Yeah.
sure, but we have incredibly talented pilots behind those race birds.
Well, and that's it. That's, I was going to say, if you needed somebody to make up an extra long lap penalty, one of the people I'd like to have in the race bird, if I own it, is Sam Coleman.
Probably why they chose him to sit in this session, yeah.
Yep, exactly, because they would have known that. And that's an important note. Once you choose your rotation before the semifinals start, that rotation sticks all the way through the finals if you get there. So, as they said in The Last Crusade, choose wisely.
Well said.
Look at this absolutely stunning venue, and we have a stunning race coming up. Massive championship implications here. Starting in the outside lane will be Team Brady's Sam Coleman. Starting in the middle lane, Aoki Racing, Saud Ahmed. And for Team Checo, inside lane, often could be an advantage. It will be Danny Close, who will get the launch. And once again, I would think that with them starting on the outside there, Brady might be looking at that outside line, but Danny Close for Team Checo or Sergio Perez Racing, he is going to want to do everything he possibly can to lead into that first turn. He is a GP2 winner and an adrenaline junkie. Skydiver, does all that kind of stuff. He's also pretty efficient and renowned content creator as well. So it's one of the things I love about everybody that comes into racing. Racing is their absolute lifeblood, but they do other things very well.
Yeah, and he is the only of the 3 that doesn't have any previous water racing experience, because Saud Ahmed for our Aoki Racing team does, being a 9-time jet ski champion in Saudi Arabia, and also some F2 powerboat credentials. So there is a lot of experience on the water with him and Sam Coleman. But it doesn't necessarily mean the most when you race on courses like this, where sometimes being a bit more balanced, having a bit more of a downforce mentality can go further.
And Sam Coleman for Team Brady, one of the most experienced boat racers that we have in the field here. He has put together some remarkable seasons. He has not just won UK championships, he has won world championships as well. And he's a fit lad, to be sure. Cycling and triathlon, he does that for fun. That just annoys me, you know, that kind of fitness. But we talked about the heat here, right? And that's how you have to deal with it. If you're not fit, your mind starts to, you know, when you get hot like that, like the batteries lose efficiency and energy, your mind does too. So you've got to be absolutely fit to do this well.
Yeah, stress coming from every corner, basically. As a pilot, the adrenaline, the actual physical exertion needed, but like you said, mentally as well. There's so much pressure on these pilots, and it really matters today.
All right, there they are, the 3 race birds in the milling area. And, you know, that's one of the things that's another thing. You know, we talked about all the stuff that is just amazing about this debut brand new tech series, right? But the other part of it that we really haven't addressed too much is it blends powerboat racing style and rules and sailing. You know, powerboat racing, you don't have a milling area and a rolling start that you have to time.
Yeah.
That's straight out of sailboat racing. And of course, Sail GP, they use the foils. So, you know, and then, but of course, these are electric powered, they're power boats, but they're on a foil. I mean, all of this stuff is blended so well. And, you know, so really everybody from the teams, the pilots, the officials, the production crew, and the commentators. This is a heck of a learning curve we're on.
For sure. I mean, this is, without question, pioneering the future of boat racing.
Absolutely. And it's incredible. And again, we just need to point out all, you know, with, you know, along with being entertaining and fun, which it certainly has proven to be, all with a true message. I mean, when you have an official marine scientist on your team here, as E1 does in Carlos Duarte, you know that your mission is a serious one, and it's to take marine operations and make them user-friendly and safe for the marine environment. And that's the whole thing.
Absolutely.
That's the game.
Boating is, so prominent in all corners of the world as well. So if you imagine a world switching to more efficient, more environmentally friendly, less polluting, less environmental ecosystem damaging machinery, that is ultimately a better future for everyone involved, not just the people above the water, but all of the life underneath the water as well.
Yeah, I mean, ice engines, internal combustion engines, the outboards, the inboards, they distribute stuff, pollutants into the lakes, into the water when they run. These don't.
Yeah, but not to mention the noise as well.
Noise.
The noise pollution. Yeah, it can mess with the ecosystem underneath, the way that they operate, the way that they travel, the way that they hunt, everything like that. There's so much impact. But the one thing we have to say, we're getting a bit technical, is all of that wrapped in a bit of a package of looking amazing. I mean, just look at this Team Brady race bed right now.
Right.
Space age.
Well, when I found out I'd be working on this and I was doing a little research and looking at it, the first time I saw one of these up on the foil, and it was a video of their test at Lake Maggiore, not too far away here, and they were up on the foil on this smooth water, it reminded me of that seagull or that pelican.
Yes.
That's just right above the water with the wings just dipping. And then to hear that was what inspired Sophie Horn, who did the designing of this amazing craft. That was what inspired her with the look. And that's what they look like when they're up on that foil. They're just flying across the water. It's brilliant. It's beautiful.
Burrowing from nature in a way to protect it. Love that. Let's see what Alex has found in the pit lane. Alex, what have you found?
Yeah, I'm here with Ava from Team Checo, who's about to watch Danny race. How are you feeling? How confident are you?
I'm nervous. I wanted Danny make a really good start, and I hope he nailed it. So, yeah.
Looking at the conditions, better than yesterday?
Yes, it's even better than today in the morning, so water is good. It's not rough, it's not windy, so it's almost perfect conditions.
What have you made of the racing so far today? Just how tough is your competition out there?
It's tough. Here the results are not so predictable, so each session is different, and yeah, we will see. We hope that Danny is winning the semi-final now.
Have you worked out how you're going to approach turn 7, which we found out yesterday is probably the toughest part of this?
That's the toughest part. You never know when you come in the turn what you will get there, so we must be really careful. It's bumpy there. The waves are coming from the shore.
It's deceptive, isn't it? It looks calm, it looks serene, but it is deceptive.
It's not. It's really bumpy there. It's the most bumpiest part, of the race course.
Ava, good luck. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that little bit of churn right in between turn 6 and 7, where those little eddies and whirlpools are generating themselves and creating a little bit of instability. Looks a lot better today, and obviously if you've got wind and everything, that's going to exaggerate what they were doing. Looking a bit better today, but this is going to be really intriguing to see. And again, the story going into this one is the fact that Team Brady, the points leader, who could wrap this up if they can get to the semifinal and outscore Team Miami enough, they have to overcome a second long lap. That's some pretty massive drama that they're going to have to be dealing with here. That's the guy who's going to have to do it, Sam Coleman. And as we said, if you wanted anybody that was going to need to overcome a long lap, he might be your candidate, one of the most experienced guys here. And we can't wait to see how this plays out. And we are now in that 30-second start down. You can see the countdown in the left corner of your screen. And it's at about 20 when they generally will start to move. A little bit later than that. Boy, everybody taking it really passively here. So my thing is, I think everybody's going to try and time it to be on the boost right when they get there. Now they finally start to move. Everybody taking it really easy here. And again, way on the outside is Aoki Racing. Are they going to do something here with the move? Interesting how those positions work. And look at Coleman.
Great start for Brady.
To perfection. Coleman leaps out into a massive lead right from the off.
That's an incredible start. And knowing their pace, knowing how quick they can be around this course, that is going to pay dividends for this semi-final if they can maintain that position. But crucially, Greg, they've got that clean water in front of them where now they can just keep going, building that gap. And
did you see what Coleman did heading into that first turn? He turned in early to protect, but then did not pivot and tighten it up. He went way wide, keeping that thing up on the foil. and keeping that speed alive. Again, that point where the speed overcomes the extra distance. And Danny Close looked like he had a pretty good start, and then I don't know whether he hit a bit of wake or if he just hit one of those little eddies, but suddenly he just went into a massive porpoise bounce, and that has allowed Saud Ahmed to solidify his hold on that second spot.
Just a little under 3.5 seconds gap between second and third place currently, so maybe you don't want to have that grow too much, because then you're going to lose any advantage of seeing what we saw with Lucas do for Team Westbrook and having a chance to be able to do the long lap and do an undertake later on, whereas now it's looking better for someone like Saud Ahmed and the Team Aoki Racebird to build a bit more of a gap, have that clean water in front, where seemingly Brady is creating a gap in front of them to have a bit more wiggle room for the long lap.
Well, just heard Saud Ahmed in the Aoki Racing Racebird needs to build a margin. They have a second long lap as a penalty, and the reason was out wrong lane, incorrect start procedure technically, but they should have been in lane 2 and they went way outside for lane 3. Maybe looking at what Lavaraga did, but you have to use the lane you're assigned.
So suddenly now, if you're Danny Close and Team Checo, you're thinking, if I can minimize this gap to the Racebirds in front, I can win this, because both the teams in front have to do 2 long laps. That's a significant time deficit, but let's have a look at what that happened. You can see this infringement here from Team Aoki.
Yeah, and you can see he's supposed to be in lane 2, which is the center lane. And so that was the issue here. You know, the technical rule is start infringement, but that's what it was. And again, Coleman just timed this to perfection. Now the question is, if I were Danny Close, then I want to think about this. Do you do the long lap now? Because look at, well, he's actually, if he does this right, this is it. This really tough merge. Coleman has gone up front. Look at the merge in the background. Here comes Aoki Racing. Close did not do the long lap, and Aoki wasn't quite close enough to challenge in. And now Aoki is going to be in the wash here of Danny Close, but Saud cuts to the inside, gets a little bit of smoother water, and now looking for the boost here. Danny Close and Aoki both have to wait. They use the boost recently. You've got, once you use it, 40 seconds before you can use it again. And so they are at pretty even pace here. What Danny wants to do here is keep Saud Ahmed in that Aoki Racing boat in that dirty wake that he's generating, and Saud already hunting for smoother water.
For sure. And meanwhile, looking ahead, you've got a 24.5 second now gap between Sam Coleman in the Brady versus Danny Close in the Checo Perez. So if you're thinking Brady, taking that first long lap, knowing you've got another one to do, is there enough of a time gap to still come out in top position?
Well, based on what we've seen, around 10 seconds for the long lap, that would be 3 seconds. They should be clear, and they are taking their first long lap right now, is what we are seeing from Sam Coleman. And obviously the third sector now, we really won't count, but he had by far the second sector fastest of anybody. He's through the long lap, and you already saw him heading out. And here we go, Aoki going right for their second long lap right now, trying to get that done and out of the way. And here's Danny Close for Team Checo. And again, now he's going to have really clean water again. He needs to just absolutely get after it. But look at Coleman's margin after a long lap.
That was just short of 10 seconds lost in that time. And he even made that time back a little bit more after that. Now it's 17-second gap with Team Checo doing the lap as well. So yeah, now this is where we have to see, can that gap be maintained? He's already got it back to almost 21 seconds. Team Brady are driving for their lives, or more importantly, Greg, for a championship.
Yeah, well, to give you perspective here, Danny Close's last lap without a long lap was a 1:30 flat. Coleman's with a long lap was a 1:32.5. I mean, it's just extraordinary, the speed we are seeing right now. It is incredible out of Sam Coleman and Brady. And I mean, he knew the mission he had to overcome here and is doing a stunning job. And he's into that second long lap now. And he's going to come out, and we will have 1 lap to go. But he's got such a lead, he's going to still be in absolutely pristine water And it's timed this to perfection because even the other two racebirds are going to be through that turn 5, which is really tight to turn 2. He's not even going to have their weight by the time he gets to turn 2.
Team Checo and Team Aoki battling there in and out of the long lap has just given all of this free air for Sam Coleman and for Team Brady to be able to just keep building on that gap and make that extra long lap almost redundant.
Yeah, I mean, not one little bit of undisturbed water through turn 2 here for Coleman to deal with. And he still has a massive lead here, as you said. So at this point, you know, he's clearly in a zone. And one of the things that they say with racers is when you decide to slow down and save, that's when you can start making mistakes. So what's he going to do? Is he going to push, or is he going to back off a little bit? He's got a big lead. Just all he has to do is get through half a lap now.
Yeah, it's been incredible work. It's exactly the performance we've seen from the team all weekend. And what we've seen across the season, let's be honest, there's 3 race wins out of 4 this season. This is the dominant team, the team that deserves to be where they are at the top of the championship. And now looking in prime position to get through to the final and even maybe screw another win and potentially even wrap it all up.
Yeah, they've really just, they've been the standard setter, haven't they, from the very first race? No question about it here. And here we go. Last time for Sam Coleman to run through turn 6. And now let's just get it through turn 7 here. The nice wide arc. I like this approach. We talked about it yesterday. Open that arc up a little bit. And just ease the speed through. And now head right toward that start buoy. Shortest line, boom! He gets through. And it's going to be, I think, a little bit of a margin of victory that won't be quite so true, because I think he did take it a little bit easy here. Here comes Saud Ahmed coming to the line, and let's see what the eventual margin is. 17 seconds, and it was up to well over 20. So Coleman did ease out of it on that last lap just a little bit. And here comes Danny Close, who just could not maintain in that battle with Aoki.
If you're a Team Checo now, you've got to ask yourself some questions, because you had a better result on the silver platter. You had 2 teams in front of you, both with a penalty, additional long lap to use, and you've still managed to come out behind both of them. That's not at all the result they would have wanted. Very difficult to swallow, a bitter pill to swallow that one. But there is another chance, of course, again in the next half of the semi-finals, where the other co-pilot of these pilots currently in the Racebirds will be getting in the cockpit and having a go at the second of the semi-final groups.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'll tell you, Sam Coleman, what a job he did. Let's see if we can chat with Sam here. Sam, this is Greg in the comms booth. You had a heck of a challenge to overcome, and you did it convincingly. Remarkable run.
Sam, TV are trying to talk to you.
I didn't hear TV.
Sam, Greg in the TV booth, you had a heck of a challenge to overcome.
You haven't come through, but well executed race by the team, and if you're catching this, thanks to all my team for good information through that race. Great start.
Wow, I'll tell you, not only is he a pro behind the wheel, he is a pro in every sense of the word. Got word from his engineer that we were trying to reach him. He didn't hear it and gave us still a great answer and a little bit of insight here. That's a pro.
Yeah, it makes our job certainly easier.
Yes, it does.
Well. Good to watch, but also helpful to watch as well. And it'd be interesting to have a look about how that session unfolded with some replays, because Team Brady, domination once again.
So here's another look at the start. You can see there the Team Aoki Racing Racebird out of position on the start. That incurred a second long lap penalty. Team Brady already had one. Danny Close way down to the inside, but it was Sam Coleman who absolutely timed this start to perfection. And by the time he got to the turn-in point, watch him right here. Danny actually had the nose ahead, but look at Coleman, hit the boost at the perfect moment and just built that margin up. It was pretty remarkable. And then his arc through the third turn here, or the second turn, really was special. He had to make up those long laps. He went for his first one pretty early.
Yeah, first one, get it over and done with, knowing you have another one to come, but his pace was just unmatchable. seemingly, you know, let's not forget there's very little or next to nothing between the race birds. You know, what the teams can actually change mechanically. There's not a lot in it. It's not like other championships. So this really is just about performance of both pilots and teams coming together with strategy and maximising performance like they have done.
Take a look here at the results from semi-final 3. And again, Danny Close and Team Checo had an opportunity. They just couldn't execute and get it done. Saud Ahmed, a fighting second spot for Aoki Racing. But Team Brady, Sam Coleman, 2 long laps and still a dominant win.
So the first half of the story has been told. We still have the other half to come, which is going to be crucial about who makes it into the final and who has the opportunity to get those all crucial championship points. But for now, let's go down to our reporter Alex Aljo, who's there, and see what she's found.
Yeah, I'm here with Anna from Team Miami. Eric, about to race in the next semi, but let's talk about your semi. Didn't go to plan. What happened?
Yeah, you know, I was battling with Open and I got in the wash behind her, and when we went into that corner, I just lost the steering. I think the turbulence just grabbed onto the foil, and to be honest, I don't think there was much I could have done in that situation. Went up and over the top of the smart mark, unfortunately, and damaged one of the foils. Thankfully, the damage wasn't as bad as it could have been. We still retained a lot of the big parts on the boat. Thankfully, Team Miami, Victory Marine, incredible. They had the parts changed out in about 10 minutes. We did a quick little lap around the track, and I think we're doing okay. Eric's headed out in the boat right now, and you know, obviously it's devastating. I never want to be the one that causes problems for the team, but you know, it is what it is, and we've rallied before. So, you know, when Eric Stark gets on the track, everybody needs to be scared. So we'll see what Eric can do, and we'll see what we can make of this day. And the team said it best, you know, it ain't over till the fat lady sings, and I think right now she's got laryngitis.
Absolutely. What was your message to Eric before he head out? What did you say to him? Did you give him a bit of advice?
I told him to kick everybody's ass.
Okay, well, there's the message to Eric, right? He's about to race the next semi. Anna, thank you so much, and good luck with the rest of the afternoon.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Always amazing to hear Anna Glennon's insight. She puts things in such a great way.
She does.
But interesting to think about, Greg, because it wasn't that long ago. We look back at Monaco, where there's also a bit of an incident between Anna and Oben. Not so much of an incident this time round, but effectively something that Oben doing costing Anna. Maybe a little bit of a rivalry developing under the surface.
It might be. They are now certainly racing each other really stoutly. There's no question about that. Whew. Man, this is going to be interesting here as we now are getting ready to start the second half of our semifinals. And basically what it is each of these race birds have 2 pilots, 1 female, 1 male. And after the first half of their semifinals run, they switch pilots, recharge the race bird, and then come back out. And it's the combined points that are assigned for each semifinal position that determine who moves forward. So here is the starting lineup now for the 4th semifinal, the 2nd semifinal for this race group. Starting in lane 3, it will be Katie Munnings for Team Brazil. Then it will be Team Drogba with Yusuf Abdul Razak taking over for Oben Duncan, and Eric Stark for Team Miami. And Eric has got to win here. It's that simple. And I'll tell you, Eric Stark, you heard it when Anna said when Eric heads out on the water, everybody needs to be scared. In terms of powerboat racing, he may be the most accomplished. I think he has 4 world championships in the F2 category. He's finished 2nd in F1, the top class of powerboating, a couple of times. You know, again, all of these racers with that immense competitiveness, Saunders, they all want that zen where they can get away from it. He loves gardening. And he loves golf so much, from what I understand, he has trimmed part of his grass into a putting green. So.
Love that. For Team Drogba, we do, of course, have Yusuf Abdul Razak, the Razak Attack jet ski champion, jet ski racer. Again, lots of experience on the water. Passionate about food, like some of our other pilots, and loves fishing. Seems like anything water related, this guy would love to do. And maybe racing here could be something else he loves to do this weekend, because they certainly need it, I would say, in order to keep that battle alive.
Absolutely. He loves racing on the water, and now he loves racing above the water. And here is Katie Munnings for Team Brazil. And we've seen her. She's given us tours of how the arrow works, how the foils work on these race birds. And you know, she's another one of these racers who loves her music, even to the point where she plays the flute. And that's her Zen moment. But she gets after it really, really well here too. So I love that she loves Coldplay. I like to hear the flute solo that she do to Coldplay. That'd be kind of fun.
It's good dynamic as well for that team as well. Both Timmy and Casey being teammates in other championships as well. So there's a good, you know, relationship there. Also, the way they work together, they understand each other's strengths, understand each other's weaknesses, and I think ultimately they will agree. They'll be the first people to say that the races, the semi-finals and the finals, are where they can be better off. Maybe not so much in the one-lap pace, but in the races is where they come to good performance.
And folks, if you look down the bottom left of your screen, you see that countdown clock, 40 seconds. When it gets to 30 is when the race birds can then start to leave the milling zone where they are right now. You can see they're all lined up by lane, and that's how you have to do it. Eric Stark in lane 1, getting ready to go. Alongside him is going to be Yusuf Al Abdul Razak in the middle lane. Again, the Razak attack, as they love to call him, and then Katie Munnings on the outside. And this is where Katie, if she was watching, obviously that move by Chris Ladaraga might be what she wants to do here. And we'll see if she plays that out. Here we go. They are all even as we get to the start chute, and away we go. And right there, Katie dropping back just a little bit, and maybe she's saving her boost for, yes, and she did. Look at this, she waited. The others used their boost up early. Here comes Katie, and Drogba answering Yusuf Al Abdul Razak, but Katie has the nose ahead. Can she make it work around the outside? She's giving it a little bit of space. Ooh, tight. Three abreast at the exit of turn 2. That's extraordinary.
Really, really well done. But again, it's actually the inside line that's paid off the dividends in this occasion. But there's still all 3 race birds really, really close. So not just the first corner, this second set of corners now also going to be crucial to how much pace and gap you can build.
And you can see Eric Stark, his comfort in that reduced visibility. When they came into turn 2, you couldn't even see him. And he squared up, shot through underneath, and got to the inside. That is the experience showing right there. A little bit of a margin he's built up. And then we've got Al Abdul Razak sitting there in second. And here in that third spot right now is Katie Munnings. And she is working it really difficultly right now. But the problem is, out front, you can see Eric starting to build a little bit of a margin.
Which is exactly what he needed to do. That Team Miami had one decision, one thing they had to do in this semi-final, and that was get in the lead and win. Because it's exactly what they have to do in order to keep any dream alive. And this is chopping and changing crazily.
Yeah, but we've got now an announcement. Both Team Miami and Team Drogba, a long lap penalty. Oh boy, it's happening here, and it was a false start penalty. So I'm not sure how that played out, but it doesn't matter. They each get a long lap penalty for Team Miami and Team Drogba, so that suddenly puts Katie Munnings in Team Brazil if she can stay close in the catbird seat here. Let's take a look at that start and see if we can figure out where the false start would go. It might be that they just got there too soon. Watch it here. Yeah. That may be that they just got there a little bit too soon. And Katie taking advantage right there. That must have been it. They must have nipped through that start line by just that much too soon here. And here we go. Team Miami, Eric Stark heading off on his first of 2 long laps here. And as he went into it, he had about a 5-second lead.
Definitely not as much as Team Brady had in the previous semi-final, and you can see they're maybe going to lose both for first and second position here coming out the long lap, knowing they have another one to do. Yes, their Team Miami have to do Team Drogba have to do the same as well, but you know, let's remind ourselves how these work in the semi-finals. The combined standings, it's about the finishing position of both pilots in the race boats across all of the semi-finals that gets you the points to get into the finals, where ultimately the points towards the end of the weekend are given. That's how it works.
Right, and right now, obviously, we're only going to see these three because they're the only ones that have now started the second half of their semi-final rounds here. So that's what's going to show right now. But up front, right now, Drogba really doing a nice job. Yusuf Al Abdul-Razak understanding his mission here, sets a really quick first sector here, trying to build up as much margin as he can.
And now you look at these combined standings, Team Miami, Anna Glenn are looking on there in despair, knowing that the combined standings gives them third, which doesn't give them a good position and the points that they need to keep this championship alive, keep the fight to Team Brady. This is a disaster for Team Miami.
Well, it is. And remember, from what we understand, in that first semifinal, because of the contact with the smart mark, not only they got a did not finish, but almost a did not start. As a result, that was a 0 points. So, you know, they absolutely had to have a win here from Eric, and some problems for some other of these race birds here. And Eric doing everything he can right now. But I'll tell you, when Yusuf Al Abdul-Razak, he's got that Razak nickname for a reason. When he feels it, he feels it. Unfortunately, right now, Anna is just feeling, as you said, anguish. She's just going, come on, buddy, find it. And if anybody can, it'll be Eric.
Yeah, I mean, as the pressure is on, there's a lot of weight on those shoulders sitting in that cockpit right now, knowing what's happened. They needed to have the performance of their life, and they needed their main competitor, Team Brady, to have trouble. And the absolute opposite has happened. Team Brady are flying ahead, and Team Miami could not have had worse luck.
And right now, both Yusuf Al Abdul-Razak and Eric Stark have done one of their long laps. Katie Munning sits in second, and she only has one to do. She's not done it yet, but she has the standard long lap. But Yusuf Al Abdul-Razak right now, he's completed one long lap, and he's got a 10-second lead over Katie Munnings. That would make them near dead hit even coming out of the merge.
You know, and as Anna said herself, it's not over till the fat lady sings.
Yep.
And there is, like you said, 8 seconds between each of the three pilots in this semi-final, and that's a much smaller deficit than we had in the previous semi-final, where we were looking at up to 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So it isn't over yet.
No, and I think this is going to be really, really close here at the merge, as Yusuf now doing his second, the penalty long lap. And keep your eye here on Katie Munnings and where they end up. This is about as close as we've seen coming out of the merge. The two of them in really, really close concert, and just enough done here by Katie Munnings to be able to hang on to the lead by 2 seconds out of that merge. So really, really close here. And Yusuf now has to absolutely drop the hammer. And that's got Brazil in the combined standings up top at this moment in this one. So again, if you have the best three finishers in terms of winners of each of the combined semifinal rounds, if you will, go straight to the final, the highest placed seconds of those will go to the finals as well. That's what everybody's kind of fighting for right now in terms of especially Team Miami.
Yeah, and it's all about like that combined standing, those combined points. You know, is the points that Team Drogba and Team Brazil and Team Miami can secure enough to do? You know, essentially what you're looking at now is you want Miami just to get in that second spot to try and do what they can with the points available. But really, this is a show. This is the Team Brazil show.
It is.
You know, we've talked about the top two in the standings, but there's such a small amount of points between third and seventh that this is already going to have championship ramifications.
Absolutely. And now Katie Munnings in the lead, but now starting her standard long lap. Everybody has to do at least one, and she's going to go for it right now. Now, Yusuf Abdul-Razak is going with her. So this is an absolute race, and Eric Stark, this is going to be really close.
That's done. That's a great. He's done very, very well there. You know, got the two long laps done early to now just be focused on managing, trying to keep that position, knowing that both teams behind have also done their long laps. This could be the finishing. Yeah, Anna Glennon ecstatic there, as you can imagine, because that does. I mean, it's good for position. Ultimately, combined standings.
And both of them on their knees as a result of that. Look at that. This is just stunning here. And Eric Stark just was sort of in hiding there, wasn't he? And absolutely flying right now. and taking that win. It was all done on the last lap, folks. It was that close. Officially Stark winning by 2.5 seconds with Youssef Al Abdul Razak another 4 seconds adrift. That's really, really close. And there's Anna just overwhelmed, really, by what Eric did here. The question is, will it be enough?
Yeah, I'm not so sure it is. I think, you know, they did the best they could do by winning that semi-final. That was a must. And even with all the chips stacked against them with the penalties, they still managed to do it. But I think based on the points secured by other teams, it might not be enough to get them into the final.
Right. And the problem was, of course, the problem was for Anna, of course, was the issue, you know, when she got that smart mark and ended up getting 0 points because Eric maxed out, but as a result, still 4 points behind at that point. But man, what a race Eric put in. Let's see if we could chat with him very quickly. Eric, well, we're going to talk with him in just a second here. So he's making his way in. We're going to get ready to chat with him. And looks like we've got the go-ahead. Let's see. Eric, this is Greg in the TV booth. I know you're coming into the launch zone, but you had to overcome another long lap penalty and came through brilliantly.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm not really sure why I got the long lap penalty, but, you know, in the end, we managed to win the race. So yeah, it's really fantastic for us. We had the first semi-final was a little bit difficult, but yeah, it was nice for the win.
Well, obviously, as you came through and took the win, Anna and the crew dropped to their knees in emotion. That was absolutely brilliant. But with that problem in the first one, it's going to be difficult for you to make the final, but not for a lack of trying, Eric. Absolutely incredible run. Congratulations.
We'll see about the final, but you know, it's not over until it's over, but it was nice for the win. Thank you very much.
Yes, and thank you, Eric. And of course, you know, even if they don't make the final, they go to the place race. And there is another race in this championship, so if they can top the place race, is that going to be enough in terms of points? I don't know. It depends on what Brady does.
It does. That's it. You know, there's multiple factors to consider here. So it's that you can do as much as you can on your side, but ultimately it depends on what the others are doing as well. Yeah, lots still at stake.
Well, let's take a look at the replay, and this is where it happened here. And our best guess, it just said it was a false start, and usually that means you get there just a tick too soon. And you can see Katie was laying back just a little bit, and so that's why Eric may have been a little bit nonplussed here. But you can see it was a beautiful move. Katie definitely had the nose ahead, but Eric, in all that spray, just nailed it with his experience in that bad visibility, jumped to the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a difficult one, that, isn't it? You know, because you look at that race start and it's such fine margins.
It really
the difference between getting a penalty and not getting a penalty. But credit to Eric Stark and Team Miami, because what they did just then was probably very unexpected, considering how much closer it was in that semi-final based on the ones before.
Look at that. Look at that. When they realized Eric is going to pull it off, not by much, mind you, by 2.5 seconds, but when he went to the front, they went absolutely apoplectic there and then dropped to their knees in emotion. It was a heck of a moment. Eric Stark, wow. All right, so here are the combined results for the semifinal groups 1 and 4, and unfortunately finishing third will be Anna Glennon and Eric Stark for Team Miami. Second will be Team Drogba with Oban Duncan and Youssef Al Abdul Razak, and Team Brazil winning this one for Timmy Hansen and Katie Munnings. That's the winner. They for sure are going right into the final round. How about Team Drogba? We'll have to find out.
Yeah, for sure. That place race is going to be absolutely essential in order to get themselves into that last chance of getting into the final. Really, really, really close. 6 points. Not ideal.
No.
You want more, but there is still opportunity ahead.
Yep, absolutely, and that's all you can count on here. So that's the plan here, but we are not yet done at this stage, are we? We've got more to go, 2 more semifinals to go here at this point. So that's what we're going to be looking forward to. Again, Team Miami not going to the finals, coming in here second in points. And now Team Brady, when we get to their race, have an opportunity to maybe clinch this championship, but they have to get through the semifinals as well.
It's worth remembering as well, you know, in terms of the points needed.
Yep.
You know, we were talking about Brady needing to outscore Team Miami by 9 or more this weekend to win it, and all depends on what happens with Brady in the final.
Yeah.
If they get to that point, you know, whether they have a great one and they secure points and it's just ultimately going to be there in the cards for them to win it. But if it all goes pear-shaped and they finish in the last spot of the final, that's only 7 points. So it is a bit interesting, but yeah, I think Miami have really cost themselves this weekend, which is a shame because it was a good battle between the two of them.
Oh, I mean, those two have been just super competitive all year, in particular, those two teams. And others have been right there on occasion, but these two have just seemed to execute that slightly more efficient level and really make it work. So this was a real blow, to be sure here. You know, but coming up in this next semifinal, though, this is going to be really interesting because we've got John Peters, who's normally the team principal, obviously, for Team Blue Rising, but Phelan Kavanagh couldn't make the trip. So John stepping in, a very accomplished boat racer, and probably the only guy in the field prior to this year. You pointed this out. He's had electric boat experience of any kind. Then you've got Sarah Price and Westbrook, and they've been very quick.
Yes.
But the interesting story here is for Team Rafa, it's going to be Tom Schaap coming out, who's been the fastest guy yet.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, let's find out from the big story of the day so far, the crushing blow for Team Miami, and Alex is down there with Anna Glennon.
Yeah, Anna, obviously a big blow, finishing third. So you won't go to the final, you will go to the place race, but Eric did all he could out there. Talk me through the emotions of watching that. We loved watching you.
Leave it to Eric to put on a show, you know. We always have faith in him. Unfortunately, he got a jump start penalty off the gate there, so he had to do 2 long laps. And so we were on the edge of our seat watching him do it, but the victory team's strategy was on par, and he squeaked out in front of everybody. And, you know, he's kind of a sleeper like that, you know, so it's always a rush watching him. And to be honest, after the roller coaster that I had earlier today, you know, watching him do his magic always makes me feel a little bit better knowing that I'm on the right team. So it is what it is. Unfortunately, that's racing. But, you know, we're fast on the right day. So I told the team earlier that if I got back in the boat today that I was going to give them hell. So it sounds like I may be going into the place race to do just that.
Yeah, what's the approach to the place race? How will you approach that one?
Get out in front and run for my life.
Brilliant. Well, good luck. Good luck this afternoon. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you so much.
Get out front, run for my life.
Just delivers quote after quote after quote.
Does. She is probably the most quotable person we have here, isn't she? She's really quite remarkable. And getting ready to go. There's a look at the launch zone, and you can see those race birds getting ready to go out. And in the background, let's say something really quickly about these smart marks, because we're talking about you know, not polluting the environment, and part of that comes from dropping anchors onto the marine floor that dig and chew and destroy coral and all kinds of things. These smart marks are electric powered, self-propelled, and hold station via GPS. So they, again, the electric power, they are not doing any kind of polluting out there. And you can make very quick changes if you need to as to where one of these smart marks is. Again, just remarkable technology here in E1. All right, getting ready for the second semifinal for this group, officially semifinal 6, but it will be John Peters, as we said, heading out for Team Blue Rising, Sarah Price, who has been very quick for Westbrook Racing, and for Team Rafa, once again, the guy who had the outright single fastest lap in qualifying, Tom Schaap, after Chris Ladaraga's phenomenal run. So right now, when we take a look at Team Rafa at this point, here is Tom Schaap, so fast, extremely talented, a powerboat racer. And he also, as you pointed out a little bit earlier, is also a world champion go-karter. So he gets it from sort of both angles here. And he just really seems to have an understanding of what's going on here on this particular unique water this weekend. And he's going to be something. And this is the team that might just be the spoiler. We think it pulls something off. Chris was brilliant. We know Tom can be.
I think you might be right there. Then next up we have Sarah Price for Westbrook Racing. Now, Sarah knows all about driving in machines that throw her about in her seat, being a Dakar top 5 finisher, an Extreme E driver, a stunt driver. So much experience there with being, in machinery and crafts that get thrown around a lot, so there's a lot of stuff. And also Westbrook have just been very, very good. Again, another team like Team Rafa that can spoil the party.
Absolutely, and Team Blue Rising. Here is John Peters, and again, first time we've seen him racing. He normally is the team principal here. He recently set the fastest, last year he did it, the fastest time by an electric boat ever recorded at a combined average speed through the flying kilometer of 117 miles an hour. So this is going to, he's going to be able to deal with this. He understands it. And boy, talk about an ace in the hole if you have to have a reserve driver.
Yeah, exactly. But pressure on also for the team, having your boss essentially in the other seat. Yeah. There's pressure and there's pressure.
Absolutely, and it's going to be interesting to see. And again, Team Rafa, it's going to be fascinating to see what Tom can do. And keep in mind, in this one, he's going to have the inside lane, not the outside, that Chris used to such great effect. So he really just needs to get in front early and make a run for that first turn. Team Rafa ready to go. Tom Schaap on board, and they had Chris had a dominating win in that first semifinal. Can they back that up? I wouldn't bet against them.
That start procedure is so important. We've seen long lap penalties be given in multiple of the semi-finals now, so they really want to avoid that because it just adds so much extra pressure and extra risk to having a good performance in these semi-finals. So making sure you're in the perfect lane position where you need to be, you don't cause any infringements, but you try and get that clean line like we've seen being so paying off dividends. And let's see how we go.
Did you see what John Peters just did there as we come up and we are racing? He laid back, and then just built speed as he came flying around in a big outside arc, showing some of that experience perhaps. But here we go, on board with Schaap. Look at this shot across at Westbrook. We have just heard if Westbrook gets a second, they'll probably make it into the final. If Schaap gets a first or second, he certainly will. So it's all about what Team Blue Rising can do here. And John Peters using that outside lane and that wide arc and trying to make the move, but Schaap to the front.
Yeah, everything on the line here for all three of them, Team Westbrook especially. But Team Rafa, once again, Tom Schaap doing what he does best, just hitting the ground running, getting out in front. And now we know the performance that he has. We know his talents on this course. So if he can maintain this, we could see another similar to Sam Coleman in the Brady situation where he just builds a massive gap where doing the long lap is just not even a concern.
Exactly. And, Chris Ladaraga, we just saw that shot of her. She was just extraordinary in her semifinal run. And Schaap already opening that margin up to 3.5 seconds. Here comes Sarah Price for Westbrook as she completes that run through the corner. And now you can see that little dip into this tricky turn 7. Schaap, no problem. Sarah looking pretty solid through there, but look at how quick he's right back up on the foil and just boosting as he comes out of there. Stretches that margin just a little bit here.
Sitting really nicely on the foil there. Much more balance than you can see in the two race birds behind. So the setup paying dividends. Also not having the fact of any wake in front of you, but having that clean water makes a huge difference. And we're just seeing that gap getting bigger and bigger. Look, 7.5 seconds now.
Yeah, it's just he just carries so much speed here. And the question now is, obviously we've said it before, normally when you've got it in the lead, you delay the long lap so you have that nice smooth water for as long as possible. When does Sarah, when does John go for that long lap?
Yeah, this is where the strategy of the team, and you have that, that extra team member sitting at a high vantage point, looking and trying to deliver. And pass down strategy information to the pilots.
Right.
When is best to do it? You know, looking at the water, looking at the potential weight, looking about where some people are going into parts of the course where others are, to avoid that potential contact or potential, you know, extra turbulence. But yeah, there's so much to be thinking about, but it's a full team effort.
And this is what I was just thinking as you were saying that. If I'm John Peters, I go for the long lap because I'm in all that weight that is being generated by Sarah in the Team Westbrook boat, and that's exactly what he did. He'll come out of the merge with much smoother water, and then it's just a matter of absolutely going as fast as you can to close that margin up. Tom Schaap right now, 10 seconds clear of Sarah Price. That's right on that cusp of being able to complete the long lap and retain that lead.
I'd say based on his sector times, I think that there's probably enough time there to safely do the long lap and not lose position, but maybe they will late it for 1 lap left. Now looking at these combined standings, 8 points to Westbrook will see them get into the final.
Yeah, as it sits, they would go, as it sits right now, it would be a perfect semifinal, doubling for Team Rafa here, and that certainly propels them into the final in the margin. Now, I'll tell you what, Sarah's keeping it right at that 10-second mark. We thought that maybe he would just drive away a little bit, but Sarah just set a personal best in that first sector. John Peters just set an outright best in the first sector, and it's 2 seconds quicker than anybody has run. And he's right now, he's just got to chew up time here and make that work. Meanwhile, let's see, best outright second sector for Tom Schaap, that margin up to 14.5 seconds. And that is just going to be enough here when he opts to go for it. But right now, he's just staying on it as Sarah goes for that long lap.
Yes, still maybe don't feel as confident as we do in the time. Team Rafa, maybe leaving it to one of the last laps they can to activate that long lap. Westbrook in it right now. Let's see where they come out, because John Peters used the strategy of using that long lap on the previous lap. What's the gap going to be between Westbrook and Team Blue Rising now that both of them have done their long lap? It's come down and it's about 7 seconds in it. Meanwhile, Tom Schaap is flying ahead, 24 seconds ahead of the others.
Well, he just turned the fastest first sector of all at a 22.7. What I was going to note, Peters, after setting that really good time in the second sector, up by 2 seconds, lost those 2 seconds in the third sector, and that's why he's still 7 seconds behind Sarah Price, with only Tom Schaap needing to do the long lap, but with a 29-second lead, essentially.
And I think he's doing it.
Yeah, he can do that at any time. He's going to have plenty enough margin. So he will do it as they complete. He will complete lap 4. And barring any unforeseen issues here in this long lap, he should well be able to just lead coming out of this as he starts the final lap.
They went in with a 29-second advantage. Let's see how much that comes down. It's a pretty clean run. So far, just a second loss. Let's see. I think maybe we're looking at the 5-6 second mark, so way better than 9 or 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Let's see how that gap between Rafa and Westbrook, Tom Schaap and Sarah Price is. And it's just phenomenal running from Tom Schaap and Team Rafa. They just seem to have understood the setup and what it takes to do well here. And actually, in terms of 1 lap pace, they are the quickest team so far.
And we've seen him, you know, up on the foil just for longer stretches, I think, than anybody else out there, and is just putting in an absolutely stellar run. You know, one of the things we haven't really talked about too much, as we're starting to see a little chop, wind's picking up out there, but he's doing a brilliant job, is they have 3 prop choices, and they keep which one they choose very, very private. But on this track, it doesn't have the long straights we've seen on some of the other tracks, and prop choice could be making a bit of a difference here as well, along with a guy named Tom Schaap behind the steering wheel, who has just been absolutely brilliant today. And Chris Ladaraga has been able to run right with him.
As we come down to the last half of the last lap of this semi-final, where Team Rafa and Tom Schaap have just done what they've done all weekend. And when it comes, you know, they've actually been so performant many times across this season as well, and now this is where it's all coming to pay dividends, getting themselves into the final for the chance of some big points, which will go a long way in the championship, considering how tight it is between 3rd and 7th place.
Absolutely, and boy, what an event to find your absolute best for both of these pilots, with Rafa Nadal standing there watching his 2 pilots dominate the semifinal rounds. What a run by Tom Schaap, winning by 22 seconds. Here comes Westbrook Racing, Sarah Price getting it done. And this run, as she comes through, finishing in second, that should be an advancement to the final as well. So Westbrook continues their remarkable story of just showing up after missing the opening round because they didn't even exist, to making final after final after final. And here comes John Peters, who I think, having to step in here and put on a show. He showed some great strategy, and obviously his first time out at racing one of these race birds. Pretty impressed.
Yeah, impressive. Imagine a bit of a, I wouldn't say baptism of fire, because he understands the championship, but racing it and being a team principal are very different things. So maybe an interesting learning curve as well here. Maybe a bit more sympathy on the other pilots.
Wow, that was an intriguing battle, and what we thought we would see happen did, with Tom Schaap just absolutely uncorking it. So we are going to check in with our pilot in lane 1 here. Tom, this is Greg in the comms booth. Boy, I'll tell you, you and Chris have just been dominant. Well done.
Happy, and now the semi-final is passed. We did a super good job, like Chris and me, but also like all of the team are making incredible job this weekend. Yeah, I'm so happy, and thank you all of the guys, because they make incredible jobs this weekend.
We couldn't say it any better ourselves. We'll leave you with that. Revel in the moment, sir. You and Chris and Team Rafa, wow, dominant semifinal run here for them, and you can hear the energy, the excitement there. They know they've got, as you said, they may not be really up into that fight for the overall championship, but they have an opportunity to make a big jump here this weekend.
For sure. I mean, really, we're looking at potentially finishing this weekend in the top 3.
Yeah.
You know, currently where they're sitting, top 5, but top 3 is a lot better.
Absolutely it is. You know,
look at that. I love seeing these moments.
Yeah, I know. You do have the, you know, it isn't official, but a podium's a podium, and the same applies for a championship. If you're top 3, that's a heck of a season. Look at that celebration here. You know, I'm kind of curious. I should have made the note, because I'm wondering what their combined margin of victory was. I think Chris's was like 16 seconds.
Oh,
and this is that's 36 seconds or thereabouts. And Sarah doing an absolutely superb job, too, for Westbrook Racing. And that solid second place finish will put them, we believe, into the finals. Let's take a look here. There's what I was talking about, John Peters, with that just waited, and then really came after it. Looked like it might work here, but Sarah nosed ahead. Watch Tom here. Well, he just waited to use that boost at the absolute perfect moment.
It was almost like Sarah was paying too much attention to what was going on the right side of her, with John Peters kind of firing his way up the outside. It wasn't really paying attention to what was happening on the inside, which was Tom Schaap storming up, using boost, getting himself into that perfect position to then just hold the lead and build that gap.
What really impresses me about that is, you know, he comes from the world of power boating, where you don't use that rolling start.
Yeah.
Right? You know, it's usually a standing start from a dock, and he just seems to have figured that out extraordinarily well.
In the setup as well, just looking at the replay now, how much the nose is moving in the water. You know, it has the odd bump here and there, but when it's sitting on the full on those straights, you know, not necessarily in a turn, it's looking pretty balanced, almost like a straight line, which is exactly what you want to achieve.
Well, and the one thing that I'm noticing here is, unlike some of the others, when that bow comes down into the water, it crashes down.
Yeah.
In his, it just glances. It's just glancing. Really, really effective, minimizing the friction when the bow does touch, and that means speed. All right, celebrations, and here comes Rafa Nadal himself, the GOAT in tennis, according to many, and who's going to argue with that when you look at what he's achieved? Let's listen in.
And at the end, I send manager and I have the regimen give me good information, so yeah. So now you have to come in the next one also. Exactly.
And now it's my new job.
Yeah.
Lots of smiles, lots of laughs, lots of energy here. And here we go, the combined results for this semifinal 2 and 5 group. John Peters gave it his all, but he and Elisa Kazem-Batalha end up in third with 6 points. Westbrook Racing, Sarah Price, a great drive for her. They'll finish second with 8 points. And Team Rafa, Chris Ladaraga and Tom Schaap, absolutely dominating both of their semifinal runs. They're into the final as well, and comfortably so. And then there was one.
Then there was one.
Just enjoying listening to these exchanges here, the smiles down there.
I mean, it means a lot to win any semi-final, but doing it with the team boss, Rafa Nadal, there to watch and cheer you on must mean a lot.
Yeah, that just adds an extra element of energy and enthusiasm here. You want to perform when a champion is watching.
Today we do the same. So now next step, it's the last semi-final session. So if Brady wins, he will go first in the super final.
All right, so as we're enjoying this bit of celebrating here, Westbrook Racing has some celebrating as well, and our Alex Aljo has tracked down Sarah Price.
Sarah, congratulations, through to the final. Job done in style.
Yeah, we knew we had to get at least a second, the way that they had changed it from this morning and then being backlogged. So we earned it in the final. This is kind of when the racing actually starts, you know, like you have to get to the final and then it's like, okay, let's ditch everything, blank slate and start clean. And that's what we're going to do now.
How much are you looking forward to the final and do you believe you can get a result?
I do. We have such an amazing team. Lucas is a great driver and we do have it all, what it takes. So it's just a matter of making it happen now. And if you get to the final, that's you're automatically in the top 5. So that helps our series points. And as you know, we're a race down and we're coming in and we're already third in points. So all we can do is keep climbing.
And do you feel like you've just been getting better and better each race weekend? Because it seems that way.
Yeah, definitely. We're just learning more and more every weekend. You know, a lot of us don't have any time in these boats and they're a new thing. And so we're all trying to figure it out at the same time. So it's not easy to figure out. You might look at it and be like, oh, well, I could do that. You know,
I couldn't.
Well, get in it. Go ahead and give it a try. It's a rough ride, but it's all finesse. It's just feeling it and it's having that intuition of when to do it. And also having a correct boat setup, you know. I think every wing, when you replace them, it ends up being different, and we had to replace a wing. So we are feeling the boat's a little different than what we had yesterday morning, so hopefully we can get that fixed.
And you have Will Smith watching on. You have a lucky pair of sunglasses that he gave you. So what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, I'm so excited to have Will here. And yeah, he came down and he gave us a little pep talk. It was pretty cool. So we're stoked. We want to win for him, so let's go do that.
Sarah, thank you so much. All the best. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, just an absolutely great performance for Sarah. And I was, you know, you mentioned she was a stunt driver. If any kids are watching, or the parents that the kids said, you have to take me to go see Jumanji 2, you saw Sarah in that. I mean, that's the level of stunt driving she does, major motion picture stuff. She's a talent.
She's a talent, a Hollywood stunt driver, as well as being a very well-accomplished rally driver.
It just occurred to me, it's a perfect symbiotic, isn't it, for her to be racing for Will Smith?
Yeah, exactly.
They're both Hollywood elites. I love it. And
in Lake Como.
In Lake Como, no less, yeah. And yeah, this is great. So now we're down to the final one, and this is going to be the one for Team Brady. This is going to be an all-female semifinal here. And that's one of the great things about this. It's one female, one male, mix and match, whatever just happens here. And for Team Brady, it's going to be Emma Kymäläinen, who has shown great speed already. For Aoki, it'll be Michelle Lobadan. And for Team Checo, it'll be Eva Meleri Hagen that will be going onto it here. And they are out and just starting into that milling area, just getting ready, getting psyched up, getting their head in to this final of the semi-final rounds, the last one. Who goes straight to the final? Who has to go into the place race? Let's take a look at that starting grid here. And as I said, Eva Meleri Hagen in for Team Checo. She was a replacement last time out and is back this time as Vicky Piria, still announcing Formula One. For Aoki Racing, Michelle Lobadan. And for Team Brady, Emma Kymäläinen, who has really been remarkable in her adjustment Here is a look at Emma, and she is an absolutely superb Formula car racer, but she also loves snowmobiling and mountain biking, and I absolutely love that. I started my career announcing snowmobile racing, so you know, she's a kindred spirit in that way, I guess, and also very good at dance, and she paints for relaxation as well. And she's been one of the pilots that a lot of people have said have maybe been the best to adjust from the other world because she has the gift of feel.
Yeah, based on yesterday, not afraid to go full send as well, as is the same with Michelle Lebaudin as well. Rally driver, top 20 in Rakar, but also loves everything under the water. Big, passionate scuba diver and free diver, which is, you know, not an easy thing to do. Takes a lot of practice, a lot of training, and has even swum with sharks. So maybe she swims with sharks, now she's racing with sharks.
Maybe that's what makes her so fast. She swims with sharks and then has to outrun sharks. And here, of course, is Eva Malera Hagen, and she comes from a family, along with her husband Stefan Hagen, who are very involved in powerboat racing, have won championships, and I love, you know, she was very forthcoming when, you know, she mentioned, she goes, when she gets nervous, she smiles, and she said, you know, it's that goofy-looking smile, and I hate it, but that's just how I am. Well, I think she might be smiling a little bit here because it's go time. And there's a look at the track, and you can see the blue outline is the main course. The yellow, if you're just joining us, is the long lap. Everybody has to do one during the course of these 5-lap races here. And we are closing in a minute away from the start here as we get ready to go for our final of our 6 semifinals to determine who goes straight to the final rounds and who goes into the place race. All of the action unfolding in front of the absolutely glorious Villa d'Este. And off to the left, the main villa, the white building there. There's the boathouse there to the further left, and then off to the right in the background, that is a property they bought and converted it into an amazing spa. And 20 seconds, all of our race birds here starting to build it up to get ready to go for this semifinal 6.
Yeah, big start. Lots of jeopardy, lots on the line here. How are they going to choose? What's the strategy going to be at the start?
You can see Eva Malere Hagen going way outside. Emma this time, who used that to a good effect earlier as well. She's on the inside line. We are bows out, the last of the semifinals, and Emma Kymäläinen easing into the lead. You see that? I saw her raise up like that, and the first time she never actually dropped down, but the second two she did. And Michelle Lebaudin doing a really nice job for Aoki Racing, and right as I say it, the boat goes a little bit unstable here.
But it is Emma Kymäläinen and Team Brady that takes the first corner in the lead and now has the chance to build a gap just like her teammate Sam Coleman did, again, to just have another win under their belts. They're such a dominant team, Greg.
It's just been incredible, and she does not have to overcome a second long lap. She just has to do the one. So let's see what kind of pace she's going to be able to generate. At the end of the first sector from the start, she built up a 3.6 second lead over Michelle Lebaudin for Aoki Racing. There's a look on board at Emma, and she wears that big visor that comes down. There's a little bit of brightness out there just to give her a little bit better vision here. Here she comes through turn 6 and now entering that really tricky section of track.
Now look at this graphic on the right. There's very, very minimal change to the trim. We're talking like 0.1, 0.2 at a time outside of the corners, which means that the setup that they've chosen is just working for them, and they can sit with that foil perfectly above the water and maintain stability, just like we're seeing here now. Not a lot of movement in the nose cone, just gliding, flying above the water.
Yeah, she came through. That was one of the better runs with speed we've seen through turn 7. Really, really good here. Now, it's found a little bit of instability here, and this water, there's a wind that's picking up. It's a little bit more choppy. You can see it, but she's opened up a lead now, 7.5 seconds. And this is exactly what she wanted to do, just build that lead. And we found that if you get up to about a 10-second lead, generally that's enough to do the long lap and maintain that lead. That's the target, if you will. Eva Malere Hagen is another 7 seconds adrift in that third spot right now. But look at that water. When you see that lower shot, it's definitely a little rougher than it was this morning.
Yeah, it's definitely picked up, and all that does is, you know, it increases the the work for the pilots to have to do on the whole course, but crucially, that point at turn 7, the bit that's nearest to the edge of the water, having that kind of water coming the other direction creates that turbulent water, makes that turn 7 a little bit spicy, a bit challenging, which we can see, as we saw in practice and qualifying, really throw the race birds off their line. So far, it seems to be going okay for Emma Kimmerleinen, who's now got an 8-second gap, maybe just short of 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds of what she might need in order to do the long lap without with scot-free.
And again, you know, looking at where the scenario sits here, you know, Eva Valeri Hagen is back a little bit now, about 14 seconds back. So I'm not sure that she really is going to go do that long lap this early. Normally, if you're in that 3rd spot and you're close to the 2nd boat, you do the long lap, try and get out of that sort of churned up water. But she's far enough back right now, I don't know that she's really into that. And tell you what, Michelle Lobadan just set an astoundingly quick 2nd sector, and she's trimmed that back down to 7 seconds from over 10. That is a great sector, excuse me, the 1st sector from Michelle. If she keeps this kind of pace up, watching what she does in this 2nd sector, she's starting to take a run at it. It's down to 6.5 seconds right now. So she is really putting together a run here. And we've seen her have these kinds of turns of speed. Now Emma Kimmerleinen, Saunders, fastest 2nd sector.
Yeah, great work. Again, looking at the graphic here of the Aoki race bird as well. The trim moving a lot more up and down, moving 2-3 points at a time at times, unlike Team Brady that were really just kind of sitting in that perfect spot above the water, whereas it doesn't seem to be as balanced for Aoki, who are now gone into their long lap. And Perez still have that to go, but Aoki racing in their long lap right now. Let's see where they come out. Have they got a big enough gap to maintain the position on Sergio Perez? Team Checo behind. Yes, they do by the looks of it.
Boy, and I'll tell you, that was a stellar 2nd sector. And of course, Michelle Lobadan now doing that long lap. So, but it was a great 2nd sector from Emma Kimmerleinen, but a good one for Michelle. She's doing a superb job here. She's got that long lap out of the way, and she is just gassing it. Well, you can't even say that these days, can you? She's spooling it up here and giving it everything she possibly can. But that's a big, big margin now that Emma has. Should be able to do that long lap and be just fine with it. Team Brady continuing. You know, we saw the dominance obviously from Team Rafa in that 5th semifinal, but Sam Coleman coming through, overcoming a 2nd long lap penalty and still winning in dominant fashion, and Emma backing that up here right now with another great run.
Yeah, Brady, of course, if the things stay the same, will finish the semifinals with 12 points, the same as Team Rafa. But Aoki, really a turn in performance, you know, potential to finish with 8 points level with Westbrook and maybe get themselves into their 1st final.
It's entirely possible with this performance. I'm looking to see, does Michelle go for the long lap now? She does not. She's already done it. It's Emma Kimmerleinen who is, that's what it was, going for the long lap right now. Judging that when she comes through, she should still have some pretty good smooth surface here in terms of the water right now. And that's where the engineer and the spotter are up high. They're looking at those gaps, and they're the ones that can tell you, yeah, do that long lap now. You're going to be fine when you come out of it. And she completes the long lap, and she's already still 11 seconds up.
Yeah, it's just dominant performance. It's what we've seen, you know, not just this weekend, but we've seen it for multiple weekends now. Just Team Brady have adapted so well to E1, to life in E1, to electric powerboat foil racing, a completely unique thing, and they've just picked it up so quickly.
Yeah, we are seeing a great performance and a true explanation, if you will, if you're wondering about why Team Brady's leading in the points. It's because of these types of performances. And there you can see Emma pivoting around turn number 3 and coming down now into these final few corners here as she is putting together a great run on this final lap, stretching that margin out here for semi-final number 6. And Brady looking to continue what has been a really dominant semi-final run. And here she comes, Saunders, last turn. She hasn't made any kind of a mistake yet. It's been absolutely perfect. She can ease her way through that final turn. Here she comes, Brady, matching Rafa, sweeping their semifinal.
Despite the obstacles against them with long lap penalties, they have maximised the points available across these semi-finals, topping the combined standings, 12 points straight into the final, and one step closer to winning E1's first championship.
And how about a big shout out here to Marcelo Claure for Aoki Racing, a really solid run into second, really fast in a few of the sectors, putting up a great number in winning comfortably or finishing comfortably in second. Here comes Eva Malleri-Hagen for Team Checo trying to come up here, but you got it, yeah, with those 8 points. It'll be interesting to see Aoki Racing. Will they make their first final? They're on the cusp, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's just going to be, they're level on points with Westbrook. When it goes back, they both had 4 points in each of the semi-finals. Does it go back to qualifying? Unfortunately, that would mean Aoki don't get their first final. So yeah, we'll have to see how that pans out. But as it stands, Team Brady dominant once again, straight into the final. And Team Checo finishing with 6 points, same as, interestingly, Miami.
You got to be impressed with Emma Kymäläinen, you know, considering where she came from. And yes, she's familiar with all this stuff happening on the steering wheel that some of the powerboat racers aren't. But to have that level of feel out there and be able to, you know, to run like she does, you know, obviously she's a quick study and learns a lot from Sam Coleman and the team. But you don't have that kind of performance without the gift.
No, the gift, and I think you can learn a lot from racing in different disciplines and lots of different machinery, from snowmobiles to Formula cars to boats. There's a lot you can gain from lots of different experience.
All right, Emma coming into the launch zone, and we're going to see if we can chat with her quickly here. Emma, as you dock that beautiful race bird, you backed up the run by Sam Coleman, a sweep of qualifying. Well done.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was an awesome race. A bit choppier today than it was yesterday in the quali, but yeah, that's what we like, a challenge.
You seem to very quickly have become one with this race bird. You just seem to have great feel.
Yeah, it's actually quite funny how all of the things that I've learned from racing within 32 years already, it's all convertible to this one, which is actually quite cool. But I've never had the situation where the track is moving all the time and changing, so that is completely new. But yeah, I'd like to take this opportunity to just say greetings to my daughter at home who's watching. So, love you, Funny.
That's absolutely great. Are you still going to not share any secrets?
No secrets, only love and good teamwork. No, our team is the secret. They are simply amazing. We work hard, really hard, every night and day, just seeking for new things we can improve. And yeah, every single person in this team is a true, professional. So it's about the team.
Well, the proof is in the results. I know it's hot in that Raceburg. We'll let you get out and cool off. Congratulations. I like that. Yeah, no secrets, just love.
Just love, yeah. And if there's one thing about commentating on sport that I love, it's when athletes prove you right.
Exactly. And yeah, you sort of set that stage, hadn't you? You know, saying she races so much different stuff, it pays off, and that's exactly what she said. Look at this from Marcelo Claure. Look at the celebrations down there for Aoki Racing. They are absolutely elated right now, and that was a tremendous run for her, no question about it. And the emotion is rich.
Credit where it's due as well, because, you know, there's a big step up in performance for them. So we'll see if it actually gets them into the final.
Yeah, let's go.
Great energy there, but let's go back and take a look here at the start. And once again, you see that attempt from the outside lane by Eva Malleri-Hagen to try and widen that up a little bit. But the problem was Emma Kymäläinen timed that start to perfection and was clearly ahead. And it was actually Marcelo Claure who started to pressure her a bit early.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they're just similar to Miami. They had one job to do, and it's just kind of gone either side of the coin, hasn't it, for those two championship contenders. You know, everything's gone right for Team Brady. The performance has been maxed out. Not the case for Miami, but, you know, like I said before, credit where it's due, because this performance was phenomenal.
It truly was. It truly was. Did an absolutely great job. And, you know, Emma, what a duo. what a duo that this team is in terms of the pilots, and then of course Brady as the owner. It's just magical. So the final semi-final run is in the books, and let's take a look at the results here. Team Checo with Eva Meleri-Hagen and Danny Close ending up third. That's 6 points. That puts them in third. Aoki Racing with Michele Lobadan and Saud Ahmed timing up nicely to 8 points for second. And Team Brady, like Rafa, a sweep of the semi-final rounds. They are definitely going into the finals, and the interesting thing is who is going to make it into the finals. It's the best of the 2 second-place finishers, and we'll let you know who that is when we get that information. But absolutely fabulous run here. Emma is out of the race bird, and the celebrations begin. Look at that. That's Sam Coleman there, who had that extraordinary first semifinal run for this this group, and Emma climbing out there. And wow, like I said, this duo has proven to be pretty darn tough.
Yeah, dynamic, powerful performance. Everything is going right, really, really well for Team Brady, and they're on their way to a championship.
All right, well, let's see if we can determine who is going into the finals, who goes into the place race here. And the combined results here for the semifinals, it's Team Brazil, Team Drogba, and Team Miami. Then it's Team Rafa with that sweep, Westbrook and Team Blue Rising, Team Brady, Aoki Racing, and Team Checo. That's how each of the semifinal groups came out, and with the points. And the points that they get assigned here are just to determine who goes to the final. They don't have any implication on the final event points.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's how the format works, and that's why it creates all that jeopardy in the semi-final. You know, they've got those 2 halves of the semi-final where both pilots have to put in the performance in order to advance the team into the next stage.
Exactly. So our top 3, the winners of each of those semi-final pairings, are into the finals. And wow, it's all going to come down. Well, let's remember, we also have a place race, and that's for the 4 race birds that don't make it into the final rounds, and they're literally racing for the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th place points in the championship. Miami will probably be there. That's going to be important.
Yeah, 5 points available still for the top of that place race. It's not an insignificant amount of points, especially when there is, you know, 11 points between 3rd and 7th.
Yeah, exactly. And as we heard Anna Glennon say, get to the front and run away. And that's what the mission is going to be here as we take a look at that beautiful Westbrook Racing race bird. Wow, what a round of semifinals. So much more to come.